Woo. All right, now it's official. Welcome back, everybody. It is our last day, but it's not our last day. Like we all know each other. We all got the Slack. You all got each other's emails, our emails. Please do keep hitting us up. Please let's work together. Please let's see each other at the conferences, lunches, whatever it is. And with that, I'll just say welcome back to Amplify. 2005, you guys are our 2025 cohort, and we are excited to get to these last presentations. Um, s- Tuesday was amazing, so I just know that today is just going to be extra amazing. Welcome to our guests. Thank you guys all for coming. I think this is going to be super exciting. For you guys to see and for you guys to be here. So, with that being said, every presenter has up to 8 minutes, and then feel free to give them their flowers, ask them follow-up questions, have a comment or two, because folks have worked really hard over these 8+ weeks to gather their assets, to show them off in a way that tells a story, to think through what are their next steps in terms of marketing and promo for their podcast. So I'm gonna just bring Frank. Frank, come on down. Come on, Frank. Let the people know who you are. Tell us about your show and what you're going to be doing with all this information.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the presentation here. And then are you able to see it? Excellent. So yeah, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be here to share a little bit about myself, the podcast and things I have learned. And to start, just a quick reminder that we are the earth. I think that's one of the most important thing that we have to be aware of. That when we talk about protecting the planet is going to be okay, but the humans are not going to be okay because we are the ones that are going to be suffering. So we are the earth. Thank you. And a big thank you to everyone that participated in this cohort. It's been amazing to be learning among you. It was really incredible. I want to thank you to all the mentors, all the guest speakers, all the people behind the scenes, people that maybe we even haven't met that were able to make this possible. So I want to thank everyone for being part of this because I think this was a really productive and interesting experience, and it really is about the people that are around you, right? So it's like the that's what it makes it special is the people. So thank you for everyone for participating. And I want to tell about myself. I'm from the Paitotera tribe of Paraguay. This is a picture of myself and my mentors, the medicine man Galeano and his wife. And I learned so much from him. And part of being part of the tribe is that you have to do a lip piercing ceremony where they pierce your the bottom of your lip, right? And I had that done in a traditional way. And one day I was kind of like feeling bad about myself. I was having a hard time. So Galeano, he took me to the river and he took out the piercing that he had and he drank like the water from the river, and then he started spitting the water through the hole that he has, right? And he kept going like this, and I was kind of like filming and I was kind of like shocked a little bit. And then after he did that, a whole bunch of like butterflies started appearing out of nowhere and started like encompassing us, and it was like a really powerful experience that he was able to summon the butterflies. And I even asked him like, what is that butterfly called? And it's like it's a butterfly. And I was like, a butterfly like you, because he's our tribe is the butterfly tribe. So it was a really powerful experience that really was profound and really showcased that indigenous people are really kind of at the forefront when it comes to being connected with the earth. But I think that all of us have that ability. And that's the reason that I wanted to start this podcast. And when I started this podcast, it was really about the Native youth that I mentor. I'm from different tribes throughout the United States. And I noticed that a lot of them have the same values about taking care of the earth, to being stewardships. And I was like, wow, this is like a really cool opportunity to showcase that into a larger global scale, all the hard work that Indigenous people are doing to protect it. and also to make sure that those voices are being heard. And that's where the podcast came along. And this is the writing that you see now. This is the one that's being workshopped through the course. I'm gonna let you read it, but it's really incredible to be able to have the experience, because that for me that was one of the hardest things. Like, how can I explain everything that I want to say about this podcast in such a short summary? And that exercise that we did, where we used that tool to look at podcasts that are similar to ours, look at the reviews that they have, use the same language. That to me was really awesome to put this together. From here, a keyword that really that I saw was sustainable content that overwhelms. These episodes have listeners feeling calmer and grounded. That was kind of like taken off from those reviews. So that was a really cool exercise. And another one that I like was, how to be able to use the insights from your data to be able to tell the stories. Because, we all have the data, but it's how are we using that information? So this one here for me was really eye-opening, because I didn't realize that I had 50 episodes, 30 indigenous communities represented, 75,000 downloads, 17 hours, 161 countries, like all those things, like I knew about it, but it's when I put them together in all one place, I was like, wow, like I'm actually doing something, because I feel like all of us deal with that imposter syndrome. And I heard that the guy who wrote that phrase in this the imposter syndrome, he wants to rechange it to the imposter experience, because it's not a syndrome, it's an experience that you have. They sometimes we feel it, right? So putting all of this together was really cool to be able to see like how much I have done so far. And to realize that I have 5 years of podcast. I didn't even realize that I was getting to the milestone. I was like, wow, like 5 years, wow, that's pretty cool. So that was a really cool exercise. I got all the data from all the countries that I have, and then I went to this online tool where you can pinpoint it in the map. So that was kind of cool to be able to see like the reach of the podcast. Um, Gathering and marketing assets, I thought that was a pretty cool class too. I had a whole bunch of assets, but they were all over the place. And I realized that I was like, wait, I have the external customer that is like my listeners, but I also had like the media, that the whole marketing class that we had. I thought that was really phenomenal. So from having all these crazy assets, I was able to kind of bring it up and bring it out to a standard form and make it more cohesive. So that was a really cool class that I enjoy. And the podcast monetization, I thought that was really cool class too. And the idea right now is that I'm gonna get my episodes and I'm gonna record some special content that I'm gonna put into an online course. And from that online course, I'll be able to pay for the workshops that I'm doing throughout the globe. And having the collaboration was pretty cool with Molly. We recorded back-to-back episodes. It's really nice because like, in was like 40 minutes to like an hour. We had two episodes done, one for her, one for myself. So that was really cool to learn how to do that. Um, so what's next? Unfortunately, Galliano, he passed, and a lot of knowledge was lost from his passing. And I realized that there's so much stuff that the elders have to teach us that we're not able to learn. So that way, I created some workshops through the globe. We already have ones in Panama, in Uganda, in the Philippines, and it's really teaching about the next generation of elders how to take care of the planet by learning by the current elders. So that's something that I'm doing isn't phenomenal. Is about 20 students. We provide breakfast, we provide lunch to this youth. And what that monetization I want to do is people here in the United States that listen to the podcast be able to pay to those courses throughout the globe. So that's kind of my strategy. And lastly, I just want to share a little moment here of Galeano and the butterflies. Paisa era Pea. Panambi. 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 Ane Panambi. Panambi. So thank you so much for everyone for this class. I really appreciate it. It was a phenomenal experience. And thanks for letting me share a little bit. Thank you.
Yo, thank you so much, Frank. That was like beautiful, and thank you for setting the tone for today. How do you feel? Because you said you had to grab all you had all these assets. You have 5 years of wisdom. How do you feel like gathering that? How did that make you feel?
I feel more prepared. I feel like I'm able to really able to monetize the podcast in a way that I'll be able to provide those students throughout the globe with really quality education. And I felt like it's so many different pieces. It's almost like those IKEA things that you assemble that you have to do part by part, class by class. But then afterwards, when you have the finished piece, you're like, wow, that was worth it.
The floor is open to anybody that has feedback or thoughts. Emily, come on down.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing, Frank. I feel like one of the biggest takeaways I've had from working with you over these last couple of months is this idea of having your podcast be a legacy and not just sort of this like fast thing, but sort of thinking about how you invest in that. And I feel like it's so clear that that's how it translates to how you think about your work too. So thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Will.
Frank, that was so beautiful. What an incredible way to start off presentations today. I want to talk specifically about your map that you made. So first off, if you could share that tool in the chat, people are very excited about it. People are asking for it. But what I love about this is such a perfect example of how you can use any data to tell the story of your podcast. This is such a perfect visualization, not just for you, but to put in something like a pitch deck where you're showing visually and immediately, this is all of the places that my show is being listened to. Such a good combination of these numbers that for me at least, can feel very impersonal. I'm like not a numbers guy, I'm a feelings guy. This is taking your numbers and turning it into feelings. Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, and what I did too, I embedded the map on my website so people can, move it around, is interactive,
Perfect.
it has all data. So it's a pretty cool tool. I will share that on the chat in a
Thank
slide.
you.
Sheba, and then Faye.
I love the branding. I love all of the work that you've done over the course of like the last few weeks. You have been amazing to like work with, and like the vision that you have of making it a nonprofit, of connecting it with the community of people that you're serving is so beautiful. I loved all of it. I especially love the story of your mentor, and like the fact that you shared the video too, like that was so heartwarming. Like definitely put that somewhere on your website, because that so needs to like be brought up into like people's attention, people knowing that the story is connected to your mentor as well, that the show is connected to the mentor. What a beautiful storytelling way of just expressing everything that you've learned, and everything that's connected to the like connected to your story of the show. Like it's just so beautiful. Like thank you.
Thank you, Sheba. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being the mentor on our course. It's been awesome working with you and everybody in the cohort. And I remember that I had that footage. I was like, man, I had this footage somewhere after when I was making the presentation. And I was looking like for, I don't know where it was. So I had to take out the external hard drives out of the closet, and the bag. I think everybody has that bag with a bunch of weird cables to try to find out like how we can like get it to go. So thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Faye.
Yeah, I'll make mine pretty quick because I'm just going to add kudos to what Will and Sheba already shared. Frank, this was amazing. The visual representation, again, to add on to the map portion, the thing that stuck out to me was global impact. And I don't know if you use those words specifically, but that's what your presentation gave, which is perfect when you can show us and not tell us. That's what marketing is about. Show me, not tell me, right? And you did the thing. 30 plus indigenous communities represented was also a statistic that stuck out to me. 17 hours of wisdom. Impact, impact, impact. I love how you worded that. And then with your monetization, which was very swift, but also very impactful, how you mentioned taking your art and making it scalable. And that's something creators, we don't want to do. My art is not your content, it's my art, right? And you were able to say, hey, I'm making this art, but also I'm going to scale that into online courses. So huge shout out to you. I think you're checking all of the boxes. You've already got a strong foundation and you're pushing that forward. Oh, and the brand palette was earthy but sharp. If you know, you know. So yeah, good job on that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you everybody for all that feedback. And also I just want to highlight all the last three people and Megan, all those folks. We have 4 mentors, Megan, Sheba, Faye, and Will. And throughout these weeks, they've helped each member of the cohort in different ways, some a specific group, but also the greater group, because we all got in it. We got in each other's business. We sure did. Um, Okay, here we go. Molly, come on down. And Molly is the collab episode with Frank. So we didn't get to ask Frank questions about the collab, which I meant to do. But Molly, I'm coming. I'm coming for you. That's my first question. Come on down, Molly.
One second. Let me see if you can you see this?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So, hello everyone. I'm Molly Mommerl with the Above the Sides podcast, and I wanted to start out with, is there a moment when you felt or shared the Aloha spirit? And it's basically a moment when you felt or gave kindness to someone, love, maybe it was a family member or a stranger, maybe it was at work, in traffic, maybe it was at home at dinner. So I just wanted to put that out there because everything with our podcast is about sharing aloha regardless of our setting. So in Hawaii, maybe some of you have seen this, but our bus drivers in Honolulu, if you let them merge into traffic, they will give you a little shaka on the back of our buses. And it's such an awesome thing. They implemented it a few years ago, and I remember I let a bus go through and he threw this up on the back of the bus, and I had no idea they did that. But it's just this like reciprocal feeling that we need to share more of, even if it's something that small. So yes, this is Above the Sides. We share what it means to live, think, and act with aloha. And it's an ongoing, lifelong journey. Nobody's perfect, but we're in the struggle, is what my mentor would always say. That's part of it. It's going to be hard. So I do this podcast as part of my work with the Oahu Economic Development Board. We are based in Honolulu, and we're kind of outside of the box in terms of what economic development is. We really aim for a prosperity model, not just a bottom line financial model, which is essentially relying on tourism for Hawaii. We want everybody to thrive. We want residents and youth to thrive, and our Native Hawaiian communities to really, really be doing well, because Hawaii is a colonized place. And we're still kind of bouncing back from all of the impacts over the last 130 years. So we prioritize relationships over transactions, which sounds to some folks counterintuitive, like traditional economists are like, oh, money first, bottom line first. But we've found that more abundance comes when you prioritize the people, and the transactions happen. And we've found that that works really well within our business model, even if it doesn't make sense from a Western standpoint. Aloha and Native Hawaiian values are the foundation of everything we do. And every time we make decisions, we ask, economic development for whom? Who is this benefiting? And then this is our team. The top picture is our current team. The bottom picture is when Uncle Pono was our CEO. And we have something called the Law of the Aloha Spirit. That's literally written into the Hawaii Revised Statutes, state law. And you can lean on this when making decisions. How do you bring kindness, unity, pleasantness, humility, and patience into all of your decisions? And so this is the foundation essentially of our podcast. When Uncle Pono, my boss and mentor, passed away in 2022, it was a really big deal. He was very well known and highly respected. This was a newspaper article about his life. But he wrote, well, he said, "Aloha is a lifestyle. It is not a solution to problems, a marketing brand, or to be used as an advantage over anyone else. Aloha is to be honored and practiced." And he was an incredible storyteller. So one of his last requests prior to his passing was, share your stories of aloha. And I paused the podcast because he wasn't there to tell the stories. But then I realized his last ask was to keep telling them. So I felt this responsibility to continue what we started together in 2021. And now we maintain it as a human development resource for our economy. And he didn't like the term workforce development. He felt like that was too transactional. He liked human development because it's about people. So now I interview people who bring aloha into their work, their personal lives, and we have basically every industry represented because we're economic development, social work, education, medicine, infrastructure, insurance. We have kids come on, high school kids, people who work in values-based leadership. So I love it. It's super interesting. And new learnings. This was such a cool cohort to be part of, so thank you. I kind of dove into the data and the search engine optimization and learned a lot. We've had 43 episodes over the last 4 years. And thanks to our tiny little breakout cohort, I decided to update my keywords for the podcast as a whole. Because Emily was super helpful and she's like, hey, your episodes actually connect to like urban planning, community planning, decision making at higher levels. And so I changed a lot of my keywords from I had maybe 4 or 5 keywords, and I updated them to things that had a little more substance, like urban planning, values-based leadership, personal development, community planning. And I had 64 downloads the next day, which was a lot. It was like a huge peak. You can kind of see where it peaked on April 11th. And so this is really exciting. And yeah, it's just bringing it top of mind for me to dive into all the data. We worked on our new podcast description as our mini breakout cohort. And I really was able to tighten it up a lot more by connecting it more to economic development and who we're interviewing. Before it was more soft and fluffy. It's still a little bit soft and fluffy, but there's substance to it for people who may not know what aloha is or may not be from Hawaii. I made my first trailer and I was going to share it with all of you. I hope that's okay, because I would love feedback. This feels very new and strange. So here we go. Let me know if you can hear it. Aloha and welcome to the Above the Sides.
When you muted your mic, Molly,
The
I think the whole
inspiration for
thing
this
muted.
podcast is the late Pono Shen, former president and CEO of the Oahu Economic Development Board and a powerful storyteller. My name is Molly Mamarel, and Uncle Pono and I started this podcast together in 2021 because he believed that stories could be medicine, carrying the power to heal people. I have the joy of continuing this podcast in his memory, interviewing many Hawaii community members, business leaders, and educators who weave aloha into their personal and professional lives. Uncle Pono touched the lives of many people around the world, and we miss him dearly. His stories capture the essence of what it means to live aloha and how to weave the values of akahai, lokahi, olu, ha'aha'a, and ahonui into our everyday interactions. He made it known that aloha is a lifestyle and is intended to be honored and practiced. He learned all of this from his great aunt, the revered elder, Auntie Pilahi Paki. The name above the sides is in reverence of Queen Liliuokalani, who wrote, "To gain the kingdom of heaven is to hear what is not said, to see what cannot be seen, and to know the unknowable. That is aloha. All things in this world are two. In heaven there is but one." Through these episodes, we seek to find that singular perspective, the one that is above the sides, as we strive for universal peace. We welcome you to pause with us as we share these stories and voices of Hawaii. This podcast may be for you if you are interested in community-based economic development, personal growth and storytelling, values-based leadership, and mindful business practices. We are eager to envision a prosperous Hawaii alongside you. Mahalo nui loa for listening. Awesome, thank you. So feedback, welcome. I've also been working on potentially a new logo. We had an artist back in 2022 draw up a few things. He was a friend of our organization. But based on Stacy's feedback, when she did her session with us, I decided, maybe we should add a little more color or have some gradient, because that was her recommendation. And so these are renderings, but they're not made by an artist. Also open to feedback. It would be nice to have more color and yeah, just make it pop a little bit. But yeah, I know it's not done yet, but these are just ideas at this point. So excited to hear what your thoughts are. Also, celebrating milestones was something I'd never done and timing episodes accordingly. So during this cohort, I decided to celebrate our 4-year anniversary, which was on March 25th, with highlighting one of our board members who's incredible. He is a leader within our Filipino community, very close with Uncle Pono, and he's just got so much wisdom, and he's a leader within the climate change community here in Hawaii. And then this week, I interviewed a hula teacher, Carl Vito Baker, who's awesome. He's basically a kumu hula, which is he's a well-known hula teacher, and right now it's Mary Monarch, which is the Hula Olympics, and they're on the Big Island. Thousands of people are there dancing hula. So I timed the episode this week with Mary Monarch. Upcoming collaboration with Frank, super excited. I interviewed him about what brings him joy through my personal podcast, and I got to talk story with him about my environmental background and so forth. So thank you so much, Frank. This was super fun. I learned a lot and so appreciative of you. And I wanted to thank all of you, especially Sheba, Allison, Frank, Emily, all of our mentors, TK, Casper, like you guys are incredible. So this was awesome for me to be part of. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys. Molly had questions for us. So the floor is Faye, come on down. The floor is open. Also, our guests, feel free to share too, because we all know y'all are podcast professionals as well. So yeah, we would love to learn from y'all.
Yeah, I'll be super quick, Molly. Like, I'm coming for the SEO audit. Amazing. I had to zoom in to look at the keywords. It was such a detailed list. I love that you used long tail and short tail keywords, which was great. Huge kudos, as well as going to check the web traffic, because we know sometimes it's A/B testing, but wonderful job on that. Also, just the aloha spirit in a sidebar. Your voice just says peace to me. It's just voice peace.
Michelle.
Fabian actually kind of touched on what I was going to say, which is I could listen to you all day long, Molly. You're just the most energetically peaceful vibe person. And I felt emotionally moved listening to this. So I just loved everything about it. Loved it.
Sheba.
I loved the direction you're going. I love all the changes that you've made. I love the new logo direction too. I specifically like the one with the mountain that's a little bit like elevated. Yeah. I really like just the way that you're incorporating everything. You did such a great job. I love the spirit of aloha. I love the way that you did the intro. That was such a moving way to like captivate us and like bring us in. Great job. Great overall job. Awesome.
Come on down, Will.
Yeah, this was beautiful. Totally agree that this was such a nice way to start off your presentation too with that question. I know we've got some votes on cover art in the chat, but I also want to say I thought the trailer was really beautiful. It was so gentle. It was such a nice introduction to your voice and to the feeling of the show. The only thing I'd say is I would highly recommend also having a 90-second or a 30-second version and a 60-second version. If you can trim it down, only because I know people are going to want to be working with you. And usually those are the time codes that they look for if you're doing something like a promo swap trade. But I'm only saying that because, like, I know that it's going to help you get the opportunities that you absolutely deserve. This is beautiful.
Molly, we have a good question in the chat room from Mia. Wonderful, inspiring work. Such a wonderful showcase for your org. For your trailer, do you have the voice of Pono Shim anywhere? I would love to hear him for a moment to break up your narration.
Yes, I can weave that in. Thank you for that, Mia.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Megan, I saw you come off.
Yeah, I don't know where my raise hand button is. Molly, that was absolutely beautiful. I love the direction of your artwork and logo because I think that really represents Hawaii in terms of like the various geography there, and will definitely help make it pop more in the directories. And I do like the reworking of your podcast description. I might try to see where it could be a little bit shorter here and there, but still keep some of your keywords just from a visual standpoint. But this was a lovely presentation, and the way that you calmly just say, you know, Hawaii is still a colonized land. That just is gonna bring the hardest person. They're gonna be like, wait, what just happened? So I love it. You and Frank both have wonderful mentors that kind of make me want to cry.
Awesome. And then I wanted to ask about your collab, and Frank, feel free to jump in on this one. Basically, I just wanted to know, like, what were the terms of the collab? Like, when do you, like, a direct swap? Yes, episode swap. Like, when does that happen? And I know you interviewed Frank about joy. Frank, what did you interview Molly about?
Molly has an extensive background in environmentalism, so it was kind of interesting to learn all the things that she has done, all the articles that she wrote. She has some really cool articles out there about coral reefs and so many other topics.
I think we're still figuring out when we're gonna post. Earth Day came up really fast, and that would have been perfect. But I think, yeah, I guess Frank, you and I can touch base about when we want to do it. But it felt very aligned. So super happy I got to meet him and the rest of our cohort.
Beautiful. Perfect, perfect. All right, we're swimming, we're moving right along, and I got so excited by what y'all was saying. Okay, here's my list. I lost the list, but I got it right here. And you know who's coming? Alana, bring it to the forefront.
Hello, hello. Okay, let me start sharing. Oh, wait, hold up. Let's see. Share this window. All right, can y'all see that? Sweet. And let me see if I can. Oop. I think I gotta move this box to move this box. Okay. There we go. All right. Hi, my name is Alana Bowman. I am the co-founder and co-host of a podcast called She Well Read, and I'm just going to jump right on into the presentation. All right, so a little bit about what I'll be presenting on. I'll be talking a little bit about me and the podcast, the cohort projects that I have worked on and plan on working on post-cohort, and also what's next for the show and some final takeaways. So a little bit about me is I am a co-host, storyteller of my podcast, but also something that I don't know, maybe a relatable experience is when I was growing up and like just thinking about life in general in the future, I never would have seen myself as a creative or even known that was an option. So it's been really fun diving into podcasting and finding that about myself that I actually do like to create these things. So yeah, I've been podcasting for about 5 years now. Our podcast turned 6 this July, actually. I'm originally from New Orleans. I am a lover of Beyonce. I will be going to the Cowboy Carter World Tour twice. I love to travel, seafood, a good time, and of course, a good book, which gets into the podcast. So my podcast is called She Well Read. We call it a bite-sized book club podcast because we created it right after we graduated college and we're like, okay, what do we do next? And we wanted something that was outside of our 9-to-5 jobs. And we both had talked about getting back into reading, and we've been friends since freshman year, and just our dynamic and our energy, we were like, oh yeah, we could totally do a podcast. This will be fun. And we also wanted it to be spread across different communities. And even if you're not here in Birmingham, Alabama, where I'm based, we want it to be an on the go type thing. And so we also created our show into seasons. And every season of our show, a different book is selected by our listeners. And each episode, we break down different chapters of that book. So that's why we call it bite-sized. And we explore all types of books. We also have a segment of our show called Coffee Break that happens at the beginning, where it's kind of giving you that book clubby feel, where we're talking about everything that's going on in the world, what's going on in our lives, and lots of pop culture chatter. So our show, we want it to be very much community driven, accessible to all different types of readers, whether you read every now and then, every once in a while, or if you're like me and just trying to get through one book a month. My goal is 12 books this year, just because of how busy life gets. We want it to be just a fun show, just connecting about all the different things. And so my first assignment that all of us did, was updating our podcast description. And this was honestly one of my favorite ones, because after looking at our description before and now, I'm like, wow, that's tea. I would have never thought to just really condense it like this. And it just looks so much better now. And so thank you to everyone who's put in input for that. I know my mini cohort, we all worked on ours together, and obviously Apple helped as well. So that was really fun. So yeah, I'm really happy with what it looks like now, which has also been tweaked a little bit more from even how I tweaked it before. So, which just reminds me, and I hope everyone, that like our shows are kind of ever growing and can evolve and change as needed. And, it's okay. That's fine. Nothing's permanent. And also we get to do what we want because it's our shows. And then for my second assignment, I updated our one pager because we wanted to, so we have also what we call we call them mini episodes, but now we call them bonus episodes. Shout out to Stacy. And we wanted to be able to find a way to monetize those episodes also and create ad space for those episodes. So I took our previous one pager and flipped it to be able to advertise these different service options as well as social media one-offs for different sponsors. And I included some of our data that we have, some previous collaborations that we've done with other businesses, and a few of our social media stats and also podcast downloads. So this is our updated one pager. And then I've got quite a few collaborations and swaps lined up, and I'm open to more. Super excited to connect with everybody. Paulette and I, like she said in her presentation, I'll be working with her during her virtual summit as a speaker and also helping with some TikTok things. And with Michelle is low-key a romance writer also, hello. And I am a huge romance reader, so we're gonna do a guest collaboration in that regard. Stay tuned, I'm really excited for that one. And James and I, we're gonna talk all things red flags and dating, and we're gonna be doing a guest episode as well. And then with Cassandra, we're doing a guest episode and feed drop We're going to take the episode that we record on her show and then drop it on our feed as well to cross promote in that way. So really excited about all of these. And then some other updates from the Apple feedback that we received. Like I said earlier, we changed our mini-sodes to bonus episodes, which like after hearing that feedback, we were like, oh yeah, that makes so much more sense to do it this way. And we've also shortened our episode titles because, not gonna lie, we have some fun titles. And so we have that as the forefront and not all the extra stuff. Like they'll get the extra stuff in the episode, but like let's get them in the door first. And then we updated our podcast description. And then some things from the cohort sessions. We started a Substack recently. And so with the Substack, we're going to be focusing more on some of personal things like our personal readings that we do, and then breaking out some of the topics that we talk about in Coffee Break and making them full-fledged conversations to have on Substack. And also recently, I started a series on our TikTok for Beyonce. I'm doing all of her albums from start to finish because I've never done it before. And leading up to the Cowboy Carter World Tour that starts on Monday. And that's been really fun. And our audience has been enjoying it. So I'm like pumped. And it reemphasizes that kind of like connection and feel like we're all just friends here, which is the vibe we want to give for the show. And we've also made lots of updates to our website and also have been pitching a lot more. And one that I was really excited about was, if anybody's familiar with Samara Joy, she's a jazz singer. I love her. I saw her in concert when she came here. And we pitched to her for her to come on the show during Black Music Month. Unfortunately, she's on tour right now, so she can't do it. But her team said she is interested in doing it in the future. So I am really pumped about that one. And yeah, so what's next for the show? I actually also, praise report, won a podcast trailer. I don't know if you all are familiar with the Trailer Park podcast by Ariel Nissenblatt. They did a promotion where they were giving away a free trailer in collaboration with Little Monster Media, and I won. And so we're gonna get a new podcast trailer soon, which was something on our never-ending to-do list that we want to do. So really excited about that. So that's coming soon. We'll also be pitching Apple for a Juneteenth episode. We recently interviewed Dolan Perkins Valdez for her new book called Happy Land, which is about this community, this Black community that was in the Carolinas that nobody knew about until recently, and how it's low-key giving Wakanda. They created their own community, and they were like economically sustainable and had land and all these other things. And it was a really great episode. So we're going to be pitching that one. We're also doing the Black Romance Book Festival in May in Atlanta. We'll be the podcast partner for that. So super excited for that. Like I said, our 6-year anniversary is in July and our season 6 drops in August. So a lot of exciting things coming up. It's going to be really busy, but I know that I'll be taking all of the learnings that we've done in the cohort and applying it to all of these areas. And some final takeaways from the cohort itself. One thing that I've learned, and like I always knew, but doing something like this always reminds me that community is everything. Everybody's been so helpful and just willing to be a listening ear to everybody, and the collaboration is just beautiful. Also, growth is not linear. I know we talked about all the different phases of growth and how really it can be all over the place sometimes, but it looks differently for everybody. So not to like try to compare yourself to others, but just focus on your own growth journey. And that our voices are needed. As cliche as it might sound, our voices are truly needed, especially y'all with the really good mic voices. You know who you are. And so just thank you to everybody. Thank you to the mentors. Thank you. Special shout out to my mini cohort. And you can find us everywhere at She Well Read.
Y'all give it up for Alana. Oh my God. Question, I saw in your one pager that you had like your social media services and rates. You've been like that guy during the whole 8-9 weeks for us, but can you like share like kind of your journey to like how you even got to where you could like monetize that way?
Yeah, so something that we did was, I think I shared this in the cohort before, that we reached out to local businesses, businesses that we frequent a lot and like know the owners also, and was like, hey, are you ever looking for some ad opportunities maybe? And they were like, well, yes. And so once we got that, like comfortable doing that, we like got the balls almost to be like, all right, let's see what else we can do and just seeing what happens. And so we've kind of just like grown our confidence through that of being like, let's ask and see what happens, and then we'll go from there. So really just being bold enough to ask. And honestly, a lot of the times we were underpricing ourselves because we would pitch a rate or something and they would be like, are you sure? Like, we have this budget. And we'd be like, oh, all right. And so we've kind of gone with our pricing from there because we're like, you're willing to give it. We are very much willing to take it.
What did they say in Sinners? If y'all have watched the movie already, don't take the first rate. Y'all have to negotiate. Okay? You
And
got
go
some
watch Sinners.
commentary.
Go watch Sinners.
Go watch it today. Will, Faye, Megan.
I just want to say your one pager is so dreamy. Like it's so pretty. It's so good. The branding is so cohesive. It's a great amount of information. Just so good. So good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to tell my co-host about that because she was our main branding person and she's gonna love hearing that. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna add to that. The one page is clean, it's tight. The question that I had actually with the public pricing, I'm wondering if you've considered doing a community one pager and a corporate one pager. Just something to think about, you know. But it's good that you have the pricing there so they know where you're starting. Um, Kudos for the guest episode and the feed drops that you've already set up. Those are gold. Like people really swear by cross promo, but feed drops, guest interviews / guest swaps, that's where the conversions really happen. And you have was that 4 or 5 that I saw? So amazing. You went above and beyond. Congrats on your new Substack. Love the show synopsis and how you tweaked it. It's attention grabbing, branded, keyword friendly, and succinct, which is perfect. Like you want to read the whole thing through. And now I want to be a Pharrell Red Daddy. I need to get on my reading and do my one book a month. So you're inspiring me. Love it, love it, love it. Curious too, and this can be in the chat, is the Carolina place that you found, is that OU Tunji by any chance?
I'm gonna have to look.
Please let me know. Yeah, this can be on the chat, but super dope. Love keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Megan.
I don't have much more to add, but yes, I do agree with the one sheet is great. And definitely, I when you do redo your website, definitely try to keep the pricing. I try to keep the pricing private off of it. Just just to be just like kind of if anything's kind of public around pricing and you have something about media opportunities and working with you, just making sure that it's like, come talk to me and you'll talk about it. Because I don't want pricing to be like somebody has a base to like low value or high value from seeing that right away. But you've been great. You continue following in Paulette's footsteps. You're making our little mini cohort look amazing. I think you really took to heart so many of the things that have been presented during the last couple of months. So we are here for you to continue to continue to shine.
Yes, thank you, Megan.
Awesome. And I just want to read this comment that Corey left in the chat. I always ask budget first before talking pricing. So that's another way to go about it. That kind of like piggybacks off what Megan was saying. Just kind of like, the high ball, low ball thing is real.
ST.
And then I think I might have helped answer, but maybe can you share like somebody wanted you to clarify like what was like the Apple feedback because they weren't there like part of the thing. So can you share like what they were telling you? And you already told us what you did, but
yeah, so they were saying that because we used to call our what we now call bonus minisodes, but they were longer episodes, like they were basically the length of a regular episode. And when you hear minisode, you think maybe 10, max 30 minutes, because it's a miniature episode. And so now we just scratch that and we just put the title and are going to call them bonus episodes. So that was a really big takeaway from there. And also shortening up the titles of the episode to things that'll just make people want to press play because that is the ultimate goal. And then taking off the episode numbers and things like that. Those were some of the feedbacks we got from Apple.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, for being such a light in our program. And yep, you will also hear from me. All of y'all will, low key. Um,
Right. Thank you
all
guys.
right. Thank you. Come on down, Kai. We can't wait to hear from you. You've been working really hard in our cohort.
Yes. Hello. I was initially going to record this, but I needed to face my fears. So I'm going to do this live. Okay. So everybody can see my screen. All right. So, hi everyone. I am Kai Touré. My name is actually Khairia Touré, but if you don't speak Arabic, you're going to be like, what? So, just to make it easy, I go by Kai Touré, and I am the host of Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide. And today, I want to share how my podcast has grown over the past months during the AMP grant program and where it's headed next. So, Love and Murder is a true crime podcast that tells the stories of relationships that turn deadly. I focus on highlighting injustice and asking tough questions about when and why justice fails. This podcast isn't just content, it's actually a mission. I aim to get the heirs of the victim's stories heard, and I want to build it into a business that provides a fair paying job for those who need it in my community. So before I begin, I do want to say thank you to the AMP hosts and mentors for this incredible opportunity. These past months have been a turning point for me and Love and Murder. I've learned, grown, and gained a new sense of clarity, and I owe a lot of that to this program. I also have to shout out Will on their own individually because they went above and beyond in helping me when they actually really didn't have to do everything that they did. So when I started the AMP program, I knew I needed help, but I just wasn't sure where to begin. And my goal was to overall monetize, grow my audience, restructure my Patreon, and start getting sponsors. That's literally all I knew that I wanted to do. But most of all, I wanted clarity on what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong, which I didn't know because I started this podcast without literally knowing anything. I had no help. It was just me trying to figure it out. So what I did learn is that I needed to fix my SEO. I needed to upgrade my branding. I needed to record a better trailer, and I needed to put more effort into commercial and episode swaps. Like I had figured out I needed to do like commercial swaps, but it was like, yeah, commercial swaps, episode swaps, meh. But actually coming into this program, I learned how important that was. I also learned that I was being way too hard on myself and that my podcast wasn't actually failing. I just needed structure, strategy, and support. So I was actually happy to learn that. And so you can now see kind of what I implemented here. I have already implemented a lot, but I'm just going to share some of the stuff that I've implemented. So I updated my branding. Here you could see some of the rebrand, my previous logo versus my current logo after speaking with Stacy with Apple. She asked me why I had blood on my logo and my branding. And honestly, when she asked me that, I was like, I don't know. I just thought true crime and figured that I should do that. But at her instruction, I removed the blood and the gore, quote unquote, and actually ended up designing a more professional logo, in my opinion, anyways. And here you can see a banner from before and after my rebrand. Then my website, I didn't actually take a picture of my before website, but it was chaotic and I like it and I didn't. I had like a love-hate relationship with it, and also updated the pictures on it. And the new look is between what Stacy said and an audit that Will helped me with that Will didn't have to help me with. So here is my updated, well, I just got the home page and the contact us page done so far, but you can see I took off the blood off of my website. You can easily record a message for me if you wanted to record a message. It just tells you kind of like where I am in Good Pods. And what my description, my newer description is here. So what the podcast is about. You could easily play the podcast from here. But if you want to play it on whatever platform you want, you can easily go here also. You can check out full episodes, other episodes, et cetera, et cetera. You could see some of my reviews. And you can also join my Patreon from here. Then I just wanted to show you my contact page real quick. So you can easily just contact me here, and then you could record your message here, or you could request a case if you wanted to. So that's just, I'm still working on it because, you have to do this between episodes. So that's just my updated website. And this is a picture of a banner from my past website, so you can kind of see what it looked like. And then I rewrote my show description with the help of Will and some of the other mentors. I rewrote my show description so you could see here's my old description and here's my new description. Now, this is a smaller font because it was so much longer, and the updated description is so much shorter and more succinct. So it's now what drives people to hurt the ones they love. Every week on Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide, we'll go on a journey together through true crime relationship stories that were doomed bonds from the start. You know where that comes from, TK. You won't be alone. I, Kai Touré, will be on the emotional journey with you, retelling stories of crime, stories of crimes of passion, reacting with raw honesty, passionate rants, and unfiltered frustration when justice isn't served. From love triangles to fatal attractions, we'll uncover the twisted side of relationships that led to homicide. And then just want more exclusive cases, deeper dives, ad-free content, and it shows you to go to my website. I was instructed always direct to my website, not to my Patreon, because that's what I was doing first. So it instructs to go to my website for information on how to join my Patreon. So that is my new description. Then I also optimized my episode titles. As Alana said, Stacy told us to shorten it. So my episode titles are shorter, my show notes are shorter, and I'll show you, you'll get a sense of my show notes a little bit later on. I think I have it in here anyways. I was trying to stick within the 8 minutes. So, and then I did a new trailer. I haven't uploaded my trailer yet because I wanted to debut it here first. So this is just a little clip of my trailer. I will play it for you. Beautiful. Love can be Love can be beautiful. Love can be healing. And love can be the happiest feeling you think you've ever felt. But sometimes, love can turn deadly. I'm Kai, and this is Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide, a true crime podcast that tells stories of relationships gone fatally wrong. These aren't just news stories. I take you inside the pain, the betrayal, and the questions that never get answered. I speak for the victims, call out the cracks in the justice system, and I do it all with raw honesty and unfiltered frustration. Because someone has to. Subscribe now and come with me every week as we uncover stories of doomed bonds and deadly devotion. Because in Love and Murder, it's never just about the crime, it's about what came before it. Join us over at murderandlove.com. That's Love and Murder backwards, murderandlove.com. And remember, all love and no murder, y'all. And that's my updated trailer. And then I also have been working on my backlog of episodes to update my SEO titles and everything like that. And I am also taking my commercial swaps way more seriously and tracking them better. Yay, Airtable. Thanks to Will. So where am I now? I'm happy to say that I have made real progress. I actually just checked my Apple Podcast downloads while I was doing this because I was like, what did change in terms of downloads? And my Apple Podcast downloads grew from 17% to 20% in my overall monthly downloads. So my Spotify is always just constantly growing, but my Apple downloads have always been very stagnant and I couldn't understand why. So just this small jump is really excited, and it's only happened since I've been in the AMP program. So I was also able to put together better call to actions in asking my listeners to sign up to my Patreon, and it's gaining traction. So freaking happy about that. Then also I was able to make, be more consistent in my social media, because at first I had fallen off because I was just like, this isn't doing anything for me. But it does it in terms of if I want to get sponsors. They do look at your social media over actually your podcast. So I was able to get more consistent in my social media and, in my opinion, more visually appealing social media. So I just want to play to you like a clip of a social media that I would put out on like Instagram or TikTok. According to him, that breakup didn't go over well. Now, Lambs, tell me in the comments if your dude cheated on you with some woman, okay? And then he came home and he's like, I don't want to leave you, baby. I want to date this other girl, but I still want to date you. And you said, I think you're worth it. All right, I'm going to try this out for you. So you go into this polyamorous relationship. Then this decides to break up with you. And not only break up with you, but then he decides to be faithful to the woman he was cheating on you with. Is the breakup going to go over well after that? So those are just like the visuals and the clips that I put on my social media. And then, like I said, my show notes and images now reflect my true voice and my brand. So you can see how long my past description was. And this is, my past show notes were, and this is my newer show notes. Very short, very to the point, and directing to my website. Has better SEO in there, and just overall better. So you can see how my SEO, how my show notes have grown. Then I just wanted to share my big wins, which is finding a clear way to explain love and murder. I always struggled to explain what that was about, and I totally got that in this program. So I'm really happy about that. I was able to get clarity on where I want the show and the business to go and gain traction and confidence through small intentional improvements. And over the next 90 days, my goal this quarter, I'll be focusing on growing strategically, which is to reach out to a certain number of podcasts per week for episode and commercial swaps using Rephonic to find the best podcasts that go with my podcast. Now, I haven't come up with my specific number of podcasts that I want to reach out each week because I've been way too busy stressing about this presentation. So now that after I'm finished with this presentation, that stressor is going to be out of my system, I can now focus on planning my goals. I'm also, number 2, going to build a sponsor list and start reaching out to build relationships and getting my podcast on their radar. And then I'm going to pitch them using my new one sheet. And then I didn't show my one sheet. When I saw the previous person showing their one sheet, I was like, oh, why didn't I add mine? But anyways. And then I also want to focus on my newsletter, which I've been neglecting, but I've learned to keep it simple, stupid. And that helps me to better connect with my listeners and convert them over to Patreon members. So once again, thank you all for everything. This program gave me more than tools. It actually gave me belief in what love and murder could become. and I can't wait to see what the next 90 days will bring. Shout out to all the mentors. Shout out to my group. Shout out to all of you who are listening to me right now. And that is my presentation. Cue applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Nah, seriously, cue applause, y'all. Yo, Kai. Oh my gosh. You came into this thing. Um, I think I could feel the trepidation, but every week you were like, I'm gonna apply this thing. I'm gonna ask for more help. I'm gonna listen to what everyone says. And then like you came out with this, and then like for also you to tell us you were nervous to present and then hit us with all this personality. Bam! I'm ready for the Kai show on TV. That's all I got.
I'm truly nervous. I'm like literally physically shaking right now.
Oh, we're here for you. So let us bathe you in these compliments. Let's shower you in these compliments. And I'm gonna let somebody else to go next. Cassandra, talk to us.
That was so good, Kai. Like I'm moved to like start a fan club. I'm like number one fan right now. I don't like true crime because I'm scary, but your podcast is so different. I'm locked in. I'm tuned in. I love the trailer, the music behind it. Like had my heart racing a bit in the best way possible. I just love all the things that you did. I'm just super excited. I like my day was not so good, and you just like gave me so much energy. So good. I'm super proud of you because you just said you were nervous and I didn't hear the nerves at all. And I had asked Casper if I can go next, and I'm just like, dang it, maybe I should not go next. But really good. Super inspired.
Thank you.
Faye, Megan, Molly.
Yeah, I'm gonna just keep adding on the kudos, Kai. Wonderful job. With my limited Arabic, I'm just gonna say Aowa. That just means yes. So I should have held out longer, but Aowa Habiti, Aowa. Action is what I took from your presentation today. There was so much that was presented in these 8 weeks, but you found a way to put together the workflow and to actually take action. New key art and new banner. Okay, artwork already. Sometimes that could be a 2-week process with just the emails. You made it happen. The way that you also did your trailer, the beat drop. I'm gonna let y'all know I listened to the beat drop. The beat drop came where it was supposed to come. Like we knew it was going down then, and then like the way that you present it is great. You had me holding on to the edge of my seat. I love also the 90-day goals. So the things that you already were able to put into action, and then you still took that piece of information we've been saying. We know it's a lot of information, but we're here. We're not leaving after this is over. These 8 weeks are just 8 weeks. We still got the rest of the year. And you said, you know what? I'm taking the rest of this and I'm planning it out over 90 days. So you gave yourself a deadline. Shout out to you for that. Also, kudos for the CTA on your website. I think that's huge to have the record a message and request an episode or request a case, I think is how you termed it. I think it's great to get your audience involved and to pull them in. And it's huge for community building. Oh, and the last thing, the new show description also, I think it promptly and immediately pulls in the listener or the reader. So great job. And also, yeah, for you to be shy, you did 23 slides, homie. I mean, 23, you know, you did your thing. So shout out to you.
Thank you.
Megan.
It was such a pleasure just to hear your confidence build, so not only 2 months, but even just the start of your presentation. It just kind of went from quiet and you just built and built and built. And I think we're all super proud of you. I know I think you've taken a lot away. I love the direction of your artwork. And I think just the clarity, like I feel like when we first started, I wasn't always like the clearest of your angle. And I think the branding that you did really clarifies that. And it also just makes you think with the whole mission base, you open yourself up to so many more partnerships beyond a typical ad sort of partnership. I think when you are ready for it and have the bandwidth ready to think about it, I think there's a whole world of nonprofits around DV. And things like that, where it's a little bit heavier, but there's something there for you as you've kind of really clarified this and updated your artwork and branding and description. So just congratulations on such a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, Shiva actually opened up my mind to looking at nonprofits too. So yes, thank you.
Molly, come on down.
Yeah, Kai, I just wanted to give you a shout out because I don't usually listen to like crime podcasts, but the way you do it is like so entertaining. Your voice is incredible. Your humor kind of balances out the seriousness. There's like a vibe that you have that I don't know that other people can capture. So I just wanted to say, great job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback. Thank you, Kai. Woo! I mean, Cassandra, come on down, okay? We ready. We ready. Give it to us.
All right, that is, I mean, everybody's presentations have been amazing, but that is like an extra tough one to follow. So bear with me. Let me share my screen. And here we go. I hope you guys are seeing it. Let me see what you guys are seeing. Okay, perfect. All right, so hello everyone. My name is Cassandra Dunbar, and I will be sharing my lessons and learnings. I learned a ton. Every single session was like packed with so much information and really helped me to clarify some things about the podcast and the work that I'm doing. So the things that I was able to start to implement, because there was so much and I have a very long to-do list, are the clarity in podcast messaging. So I did an update on my podcast description. I was able to really not redefine, but lock in my listener avatar. And then the last thing that I started to implement was strengthening my digital footprint using metadata and branding alignment. So again, my name is Cassandra. This is like a little bit of a backstory of how I started the podcast. So I am a mother, I'm a medical doctor, I am a professor. And what really started me on this journey, because I never thought I was a creative person, similar to what Alana said, I just had my head in the books. All I did was study. If you are familiar with Caribbean folk, all they let their kids do, especially the girls, is just go to church and read a book. So that's what I did for the majority of my life. And when I was in medical school the last year, I became pregnant with my oldest son, and something about being pregnant made me really aware about the distinction between being healthy versus actually being well. And I realized, and that was like the beginning of my radicalization and just seeing how, yeah, we can be healthy in terms of, how our labs are and we don't have any chronic conditions per se, but are we actually well and thriving and all of those good things? So as I started to look around and try to figure out how to be well for this baby that was growing inside of me at the time, I realized that there really wasn't media for us at the time. So fast forward a couple of years later, I decided to start a podcast. And I thought, I'm just going to go ahead and get myself a mic, plug it in, and boom, you got a podcast. Okay, that's like step one, maybe. I realized that, okay, now you said something, but how do people hear it? So then I became really obsessed with learning how to market it, and marketing was something that I just didn't know about. So I found all the Googles that I could do on how to grow the show. And yeah, so this was the original branding for my show. It was launched in February of 2020. And then you guys know a month later, the world changed forever. And I thought, oh, this is even better. So now I'm home. I have all this time for the podcast. Absolutely not. I had two small kids at home with me 24/7, but I still made time. And what was impactful for me during that time was my self-care became the podcast, just speaking to different women across the country who are experiencing similar but maybe different things. And we had a common ground of trying to be well and thrive, really became a saving grace like in 2020 and then and beyond. So the original tagline kind of was, this was a wellness space dedicated to empowering Black millennial women with the resources to level up mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And in that time, so from 2020 through 2024, these are some things that I was able to participate in. At, I forget which year this was, but I was on New and Noteworthy in Apple, which was a huge deal. I gained a large amount of following from that placement there. I think it was the month of January. So while people were looking for the new year, new me type of stuff, they happened to find me, and some stayed with me for a long time. You guys remember Clubhouse? That was like back in the day during lockdown days. They had a Creator First program, and I pitched the podcast to be one of like their programmings. And that also helped me to gain some audience there. People who were in the app would then come over and listen to some episodes, and I held to some web episodes, some people there. I decided to go ahead and throw myself out there, throw my name out there for some awards. So the Black Podcast Awards, I said, you know what, I'm going to use it as marketing. So people who are curious about who this is or what this is about, even though I may not win, that's fine. I may get some listens. I happened to get some listens, and I won 3 awards. So one in 2020 and 2 in 2021, I think. Which was great. And I've met a ton of people in the podcasting space just from that community as well. And then I spent a lot of time on Instagram. Instagram is still my primary social media, but Instagram has changed. So in the beginning, even though my account was much smaller, my community on Instagram was very, very engaged. So whenever an episode would go out, there would be at least 2 people who would repost the episode with what they loved about it and things of that nature. And that has changed. But we'll talk about that in a second. And then one of the things I'm really happy about is I had the opportunity, and I think it was either last year or the year before, the years are blending, I was able to host an in-person event, because one of the things that I realized is I love podcasting, but what I love the most about it is the actual community aspect. And now that, we're outside again, a lot of us are craving like that in-person community, those in-person relationships and things. And that was like the first event that we had. So there was a visual rebrand that happened last summer. So June of 2024, we went from this to this. This reflected like, oh, me in a way. Like I was just like, I think it was the aesthetic of the time too, like very muted colors that conveyed wellness and things of that nature. But I'm like, you know what, now I feel a little bit more vibrant. I feel like I have more things to say. And I also wanted it to just reflect my culture a bit, like the tropicalness. I referenced the fact that I'm Caribbean because that's a part of my identity, right? So it comes up all the time. So we changed the branding. And what I found was something happened in like the fall of last year, where I don't know if it was a combination of the branding change. So people were like, who is this? Like, I don't remember you. As well as just what's happening in the world. There has been a downshift, okay? And I'm obsessed with numbers, and I hate that about me, to be honest. So what I would see was the trend was trending downward. And at around the same time when I was I feel like I hit rock bottom, is when I got my acceptance letter into this program. And I was just like, thank you, God, because I need some help. And at the same time, I just felt like I was going through an identity crisis. I felt because I was doing the same thing, I became robotic. You show up, you do these interviews, you put it out and hope for the best. And I didn't know who I was serving, why I was doing it anymore. And I was just confused at the start of this program. That's who I was. I was my original listener avatar. I named her Keisha, and essentially Keisha was me in 2020. I was like, I'm making content for myself. I know I'm not unique in that way. Like, I know I'm not the only person who's looking for this type of information. So I said, Keisha is her pain points are my pain points. So I'm gonna make content for her. But I think with time, Keisha changed because Cassandra changed, and my audience also changed and grew with me. And in one of I think it was our first meeting together, Megan did the presentation. And one of the things that really stood out to me and had me spinning was, she said, what's your story? what is your why and for whom? And that just made all the things start coming back to me. Like, you're just get out of repetition, stop being so robotic about the work that you do, because you started this not because you have to do it, but because you love it. So that made me sit down and really refine my listener avatar. And what I realized is using the some of our data that I found, because I think that same week we had to look at our Raphonic, we had to look at our data. So putting all of that together, plus the presentation, along with, I think Sheba the same week or the next week did something about growth by numbers. Like, all of those together had me sit down and spend the whole weekend breaking down my listener avatar. So it's not just one, it's not just Keisha anymore. Now it's Janelle, Ayana, and Amani, because the age range of my typical listener is 28 to 44. That's a wide range. What the 28-year-old is experiencing is not the same as a 44-year-old, right? And what I realized that these people are still me, just in different phases, you know? So what are the things that I either was experiencing at one time, or the things that I kind of am dipping in and out of. And now this has helped me to really nail down what type of content that I'm creating, because sometimes it feels like I'm speaking into a void. And one of the things that I did was, and I forget which presentation it was, but I looked at the numbers and I looked at the actual episodes, the ones that are performing well, that have a good consumption rate and all of those things. I'm like, okay, that's what they want to hear. So, and they all fit into one of these categories. And this essentially allows me to have like a better blueprint as to the type of conversations that we'll be having on the podcast. So that's my refined listener avatars. So these are just really small ones. I have a whole file, but neither here nor there. So this was my old podcast description. So we had the presentation by Tanya Ransom, and she helped me to workshop, and so did you guys. You guys had really great input on my old podcast description. Was really, honestly, very generic, like neither here nor there. And now it is longer, and I still need to tighten it up. But I think it really speaks to what is the purpose of this podcast, what can the listener take away from it, and then who I am, because I'm not famous. So like, why listen to this person, right? The ones that are in bold will mention to change these out based off of what the recent content is or the upcoming content is. So we'll definitely play with that. For some reason, I felt that my podcast description had to be like, that's it, set in stone, but no, we can always change it. And that just reminded me to be flexible in my creation as well. And lastly, the other thing that was really important was to strengthen my digital footprint. Ever since the change of the podcast art, I just lost my footing. So my old website reflected that. It did not reflect the new one at all. So if you went to the website and you are brand new, you'd be like, whose is this? And because I was so overwhelmed with like, what am I even doing anymore? I just left it for months, just didn't touch it and just left it. So because we had several conversations, Faye led a great presentation on metadata, and there was somebody else who also talked about the website. I'm like, okay, well, I need to do something about it. So I decided to try to do it myself. Now, this is a work in progress. I am not a web designer. And it's still, if you go on the website, y'all, some of the links don't work, but I'm working on it. So right now, this is what we have as the front page. These are some of the more recent episodes, and these links do work. For the episodes, I really tried to focus on all of the SEO stuff. So these are not just show notes, like these are like articles that like go with the episode itself. At the end, I have the link to my YouTube. I'm still working on figuring out how to embed a podcast player into it. What else did I want to say about this? This is still a work in progress. So that is that. And then the other thing that I switched up was my my show notes. So my old show notes were really straightforward and maybe not all that helpful for the listener. So, and my episode titles were way too long. And based off of the feedback that we received from Stacy, I've switched some things up. I'm trying to keep it shorter. They're still kind of long, and I'm working on it. I think I'm just wordy. And this is now an example of my new show notes. So a little bit about what the episode is about. The episode is a little bit shorter. I'm still working on it. The guest spotlight, how to connect with them and how to connect with me. I know I still have to tighten things up. I think I have too many call to actions. I'm a work in progress. Let me go back here. 1 second, sorry. And then, so one second. So the what's next? So in the next 3 months, I have some collabs with the cohort. So as Alana mentioned, she'll be on my podcast, her and her co-hosts. They are young and fun and baddies. I need that energy on my podcast too, so I'm really excited about that. I'm going to relaunch my newsletter. We had a great conversation about, because I asked a question about the newsletter and I was just so confused. I was overcomplicating things. And somebody mentioned, well, just repurpose some of what you have. So I currently have a segment called What's on My Radar, where I talk about like people, places, and things that are well studied that I'm obsessed with. So I can just make that my newsletter. So it's a little bit different than just posting the podcast all over again. So that's that. And then I'm really going to spend some time, especially over the summer, to focus on social media. The next 9 months, I want to have an in-person event. I'm looking to collaborate with, there are 2 museums here in my city that seem to be really community, like want to engage the community. So I'm reaching out to them. So hopefully something could happen within the next 9 months. I'm looking to also start to offer like wellness workshops and things of that nature. Because again, the landscape is showing that people want like more in-person community. And then the next 12 months, this is a reach, but hopefully my first in-person retreat, and then just become more into partner again with wellness brands that are aligned and potential sponsors and things. And then I'd love to keep in touch. This is me. And thank you so much for everything. The cohort, the mentors, Casper and TK, you guys are incredible. Thank you.
Y'all give it up for Cassandra. You were getting mad kudos and flowers in the chat. I just like get your flowers, sis. Thank you so much for sharing. I'll say just, like I definitely was cognizant and aware that of your, you were like, I'm overwhelmed, child. Like, but you came through every week like a champ. And what I realized about you, you were like quietly taking it all in. And here it is. And I would say it's our honor to help you in any way and in the future. And I just want to point out somebody in the room, Nicole Walker, and like y'all been talking about data and y'all been talking about telling your story, and all what y'all been doing Tuesday and now today and with the rest of these is literally giving us Nicole's presentation using your stuff. She came through with the data story and y'all are giving us your data story. So like I just wanted to give her flowers, because like what you gave, what Kai gave, like come on. This is every speaker was like on point. So, but I'm just so happy to see this one come out. I'm sorry, Will, you go.
No, you're good. This was amazing. And this was like easily one of the best examples I've seen of how to create and use your podcast avatar. This is something that I've written about before, and like I always feel like I struggle to explain like why it's so important and how to craft it. This was incredible, and I love that like as you were doing it, you reflected back and it's you. It's you. Like, and then that I feel like was so connected to you feeling reinvigorated about making this and doing this and breathing life back into it, and just remembering that like you have to be your core audience. I just think that was so beautiful, so amazing. Also, if you're using something like Squarespace or some such, doing Spotify embeds is super easy. Usually what you do is you just pull the URL to the episode directly, put it into something like Squarespace, and it'll automatically do an embed for you. I used to use this all the time when I was running blogs. Most of those were on WordPress, so I know that WordPress does it. I know Substack does it. I believe Squarespace does it. So you should be able to just copy and paste that link and be golden.
Yeah, Cassandra, like, okay, our group will probably notice this because she showed us the website last week. I knew you said you was going to work on it. I felt that was a 3 month down the line type thing. So shout out to you, because when you pulled up that site today, I was like, oh my God, like, come on, not playing around. Kudos, wonderful job. I have to just speak briefly on your audience development and all the research that you've already done previously, and how you were able to be vulnerable and just honest and open up about who you are and how that is reflected in your audience, and then finding the evolution in your listener profiles. So that's like a really, poignant moment for anyone as a creator to be able to do that honestly. So shout out to you for that. New podcast description looks amazing. I love that you say your name. Say your name, say your name, say your accolades. It's there for a reason, and you are expert in your field. So I'm glad that you decided to have that in there and explain who you are and how you could speak to this particular topic. And I also love that you took the feedback to rotate the keywords. I think that's super smart. That's just a wonderful tactic. And yeah, I was going to ask too, but I could just message you in Slack about your podcast player and who hosts and how the back end looks. Typically, they do have the embeds. I know Will mentioned, what was it, WordPress and Squarespace. I don't know if you're familiar with Wix too, but they also have a weird embed code, and it's kind of like a trick to finding it. But as a hold in between, you could probably, and we always say this, don't direct people off your website, but as an in between, you could do something like an Episode FM or a pod link in the meantime, just so people can get it from somewhere. But great job,
Megan.
Such yeah, I can't really add much more than Will and Faye. Just a wonderful job, and it's beautiful. And I think just this whole presentation, it just makes you think like you're set up, like if you don't want to doctor anymore, I think you're on your way to having like a business come out of this. And I'd be happy to fly down and teach yoga at your retreat. So wonderful job, and honored that you're able to just take that feedback, just take presentation one, tuning into your audience and yourself, and just taking this all to heart.
Thank you.
And before we go to the next person, I just wanted to say, as an OG Keisha, like elder millennial, literally spelled the way you spell it, the only way to spell it, the Mary Jane of Black names. Okay. When you broke down that audience evolution, I felt like the OG Keisha you started with, but now in 2025, I'm an Ayana, I'm a Janelle, I'm an Imani, and we need to diversify, and I felt that in my soul. So thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you. And can I say one more thing? I love how you guys say my name. Nobody says my name properly, and you guys, I tell my husband this, like nobody says Cassandra. I have to repeat it, and y'all all get it. And thank you so much. Like, thank you.
Oh man, don't make me cry out here. You're welcome, y'all. Oh. All right. We're moving and grooving. Thank you guys. Y'all are still with us. We have James. Love me a James.
Hey, all right.
I'm always listening.
Let's do this here. All right, we're doing something different today. I'm a Google Slides girl, but today I'm gonna give you some Canva. Hold on, say some prayers, and oh wait, hold on. She's already. I know you see what you can see, but I want to make sure you got the sound, because there's gonna be some sound here in a moment. Okay, we're doing this. It's happening. Okay, all right. You can see this. Yeah, you can see it. You can see the things. All right, for the sake of time, I know we got other folks who need to present as well, so I want to be a good steward here. Let's jump on in here. So what we're going to do for today is go through my press kit that I worked on through here, which has a lot of different elements that we picked up as we moved along here. So I'm going to show you some elements of my press kit. I'll also give you a tease for my vision for the future and next steps. And also just my fellowship takeaways for my season of growth here. So give you a little sneak peek of what's in my press kit. bam, we did so many different things and do it through this, and this press kit are things that I can leverage for sponsors, partnerships, network pitches, high level guests, etc. Let's take a pit stop at that old podcast description. Wah, wah. Let's go ahead and just read through what used to be on here. Red Flags Everywhere is hosted by James Arthur M., a failed relationship expert on the journey to help us all end unhealthy relationship patterns. With experts and non-experts alike, we will laugh, heal, cry, grow together on a journey to be our best loving selves, helping us to find and maintain the love we deserve. I mean, okay, it's okay. But that SEO not looking cute. We already know it's red flags everywhere. We're looking at it. Why are you wasting my time? James Arthur, I don't know who you are. Like, you're a rising star, but like, why that taking that beautiful SEO space? So, with y'all's help, we went and bam, she got a makeover, right? A little tuck here, a little nip and tuck there. So, a failed relationship expert explores love, dating, and heartbreak through a Black and queer lens with humor, vulnerability, and unfiltered storytelling. James Arthur M. is joined by a mix of experts and everyday people to unpack attachment styles, red flags in romantic, platonic, and even workplace relationships, and lessons learned the hard way. Are you missing the signs? Join us as we laugh, heal, and rewrite our love stories one flag at a time. What? Not a call to action in the episode, in the whole entire show description. Like, you better get on it. You're like, am I missing the signs? I gotta tune in. I really love grabbing your attention with that failed relationship expert. Like, that is just my title and moniker. Even if I'm married, I'm still gonna be like, I'm a failed relationship expert. I'm gonna hold on to it. I think it's hilarious. And there's a lot of great SEO things that are popping up in here as well. Still, like, really, a little bit longer, but I think there's more meat and potatoes here. Something that I'm super proud of. We'll get a little snippet of it. I've got my eye on the clock here. But I was able to create a new trailer. Now, this came from, hold on. There's a reason why I'm not the editor, okay? I had a 10-minute sizzle reel. It wasn't a trailer, a 10-minute sizzle reel. Okay, TK, all right, come on, we're not judging here. 10-minute sizzle reel, and was able to, with some advice from the folks in my cohort, cut it down to a 3-minute, which that's huge for me. I'm sorry. For me to go from 10 to 3. So I'll give you a little taste.
Welcome to Red Flags Everywhere. I'm failed relationship expert James Arthur M. on a mission to help us stop the patterns and start building the love we truly deserve.
So what would you say are some red flags that you had ignored in the past?
They call all their exes crazy, right? You're on a date, they call all of their exes crazy.
I think a red flag of hiding you from everyone they know could be a slight indication.
Ooh, okay, can we unpack that? Is there a certain cutoff point where it's like you gotta tell people about? Like, I feel like 3 months. Like, once we get to 3 months and you haven't told people about us, do you have a timeline?
Yeah, well, I gave it 5 years, and so I feel like
So recently, I found myself with, once again, a broken heart. Now, this was my umpteenth relationship. I've had 14 official boyfriends. I am no expert, obviously, because as a friend told me, I am really smart and wise when it comes to a lot of things. But when it comes to relationships, I'm a ding dong. And I think I think we've been brainwashed that. I mean, I grew up watching Days of Our Lives, so that's my understanding of love, is that, like, we break up and then it's your evil twin, and then Marlena's possessed by the devil. Carly was buried alive. I'm like, listen, if someone I'm dating is possessed by the devil or I have an evil twin or buried alive, what are we even doing here? Do you even really love me? So that's like where I'm coming from. So I have vowed never again. I'm not gonna let this happen to me or you. We're done. And along the way, we're gonna have a variety of guests, from therapists to comedians.
The avoidant person isn't avoiding the anxious person. They're avoiding the need and the vulnerability that lies underneath the strategy of avoidance. Wow. And so it's not about avoiding the connection. They're avoiding the need and the vulnerabilities.
So the reason I found out was because I was explaining to her, like, this guy's MO. I was like, oh my God, he walked out on me when I was talking to him. He completely stopped answering my text. He was really mean. And she's like, oh my God, he sounds like this guy I dated. I was like, they're all the same. She's like, no, legitimately, word for word, he sounds like the guy I was dating. And then we said his name at the same time. And we're like, Oh my God.
I'm really getting our relationship.
All right, and then we get to the theme song again. We have original music. Give you a little taste. Original music, and that was so all the clips are my babies. It was so hard to like cut it down, but I think you get the gist of it. And yes, we are working on like a 90-second promo swap there, so I already see you. Well, I already put the hand down. I got it. All right, we'll do that. But this is in our press kit. We'll be showing behind the scenes. We got my editor. We have original music. Red flags everywhere. It's a little bit of an earworm. You will wake up with it every morning in your head. Through this, we also defined who our audience is, which it was kind of vague before, but really define a little bit more into who our listeners are here. They're primarily millennial creatives, professionals, self-healers, and really zeroing in on that Black and queer lens, I think is often just really neglected in these relationship spaces. So really just zeroing in on that niche, really identifying, we start looking for partners and sponsors and things like that, like really identifying like what does our audience really value? It's that emotional honesty, relatable conversations, representation, growth and healing. So again, these are things that did workshop throughout here with you all. Also in our press kit, we will include a list of some of our top episodes, and they all have links as well. We link directly back to the website to drive that traffic back to my website. So you can kind of get a little taste of all the different topics. I like to highlight one of my favorites is like I had one of my ex-boyfriends, one of the 14 on here. Yeah, I'm getting real honest here on this show. Yeah, we've talked about attachment style, which I wish I would have learned that years ago because that would have maybe saved me some of these relationships. Dive in episode 2, y'all. If you don't know anything about attachment styles, save yourself and your partner, your future partner, and you better learn about it. We have had astrologers, we've had all kinds of folks, therapists on here. We even have a snapshot here in that press kit for all the different folks. Boom. There's my ex right there. We had Tessa Tukes from The Bachelor. That was a nice little get, right? She won. She went to the Canadian Bachelor because the US, they were like, there's a joke on SNL if you're the black girls go home on week 2, and she went home on week 2. But she went to Canada and she went to Love Island, and she got married just last year for the boo that she found on there. So that was a nice little get. And she's like, you never know, you can find your love on a reality TV show. So Tessa's giving you that. I got my best friend on there. I had an LGBT matchmaker, therapists, authors, comedians, just really getting all those different, types of folks. Like we've all got different lessons that we've learned and advice that we've gotten. All right, let's get to the meat and the potatoes. You all are a data-driven group of folks, and I get why. So let's jump in. Boom. What? I could not have done this a few months ago. I couldn't have. So this line would not have existed before this. I wouldn't have known how. Some of you are very blue-leaning energy, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm yellow-leaning energy. But through this program, I learned how to look at my listen score and track performance trends. And it turns out we're not doing too dang shabby. 3,000 plus downloads. Top 10% worldwide. Who would have guessed? Not me. Top 10 in the Spain relationship podcast category. That was a fun email to get. They love us in Spain, which I've got a few exes from Spain, so I don't know what that story is, but we can let the data tell us something there. We get about 80 to 100 downloads per episodes, and our top listened episode is Red Flags in the Workplace. Y'all have some toxic jobs, and that was our top one there. So really great information. Again, we're looking for partners, and then we got some global reach, right? So there's the top countries that we are in. Again, look at that, Spain. Like, man, do I need to go back there and find my third boyfriend from Spain or my third boyfriend from the Netherlands? I know, we'll talk about this later. But anyways, nice little snapshot of where we are. And bam, the reviews are in. 5 stars all around. Not a lot of reviews, but that's okay. We can just tell this is the story. And this is the biggest thing I've learned. You data, you can tell the story you want to tell. And we've got reviews. One of them is from my mom, but that's okay. We're just going to put that in there. I think it's fun. It's cute. That's what we've got there. And then also in our press kit, we will link out to our website because we love some good SEO directly from the website there. Let's look at like the asset checklist of how we're doing. So you can see all the things on the left that we got rocking and rolling here, that new podcast description, season 2 trailer. We got some press kit stuff, show notes and metadata. We even kind of understand what that is. Kind of. We'll keep watching the videos on replay. I get it to a point, 25% there. We got our guest pitch kit. We got our website link, season 2 press release. We got our socials, IG, TikTok. We got a lot of stuff going for ourselves, right? What we're building next. The money thing. What I was so much of my last podcast, Minority Corner, we were on a network, and so that kind of took care of us a lot of the way. But what I've learned so much is that you can start monetizing now. So we're gonna be starting looking for the sponsorships. We've got all the material lined up to be able to start pitching. Working on that newsletter, a shorter promo. Well, I told you already, we're gonna do the shorter promo, but at least I went from 10 to 3. Give me a little bit of space there, right? Give me my flowers. Newsletter, Discord community advice line. We want to hear, really the show is for the folks listening, right? And so I want to be able to help them out with their relationship needs. Some merch, Alyssa Pot. Now that we've got the press release, great, but who am I sending it to? I don't know, but that's what we'll start looking at next, is who we're going to send that thing to. And this is one of the great things, leveraging my past podcasts' RSS feed. Minority Corner is like 0.5%. And the top, like on the whatever the thing is, see, I already forgot what it is, but it's 0.5%. And I gotta get on that RSS feed. So reaching out to Max Fun and being like, hey, you gotta drop when we get to season 2, drop that on there and like get these folks over. And really aim to try to get into that new and noteworthy pitch together so we can get that going. Next steps. Okay, bam. Sending this press release. We already kind of teased it, but we did it. Excited. Never had one before. I feel like marketing lady over here, and I'm very proud of myself. We've got some upcoming collabs. Don't these wonderful people look a little familiar? You should. There's some dynamos. I got the fortunate pleasure to work with these folks the last 8 weeks. They're so fabulous. Can't wait to get into the tea with all of you, especially Michelle's going to keep coming in and tell us about like relationships and finances, which like, please help me because I went into so much debt this last relationship, but we'll save that for the podcast. But we're out of debt now. So we'll see there. And then big picture, like that's like, 5 years from now, I have so much content, we're gonna turn it into a book. Like we've got so much stuff. Like everybody on here should be thinking about the book that they want to write, right? You got so much content from it. Streaming series, live shows, workshops, merchandise, all the things are on like the 5-10 year plan as we come in here to Red Flags Everywhere. My fellowship takeaways. I just want to go back to this, like it's cute, but it's my season of growth. So the things that I learned: run your race. I came in here and being like, Joe Rogan and he's taking our space. Michelle Obama, stop podcasting. Like I don't have to compete with those folks. They're not trying to do what I'm doing. Joe Rogan's not trying to do a Black queer relationship podcast, right? So run your own race, right? It's a long game, and so just be with the long game. Because we're an indie podcast, take the breaks when we need them. Let your audience know. Don't just disappear and go to San Francisco and do 2 shows for 6 months. One written by Coleman Domingo. But lesson learned. You're never too small to monetize. That was a huge one. I think I was waiting, and now I can just like jump in. I got some numbers. I'm gonna tell my story. Get that coin. Use resources. I don't do everything at once as well. There's so much information that like I'm excited to continue to grow into. Leveraging you all. That Slack will live on forever. Leveraging the data, like I just was saying, and that metadata matters. And again, when I say that, I kind of know what I am saying, but it matters. But thinking about your engaging descriptions, really making sure that you've got all the right, keywords and things like that, because it does help when people are searching. And then there are millions of podcasts, but there's only one you. Alana was saying this earlier, right? That like all of us had a calling. Something told us to do this show. That someone needed to hear it. And I know for myself, I did the show because I needed to hear it. And I know if I needed to hear it, I knew there were other people who needed this as well. You write the book that you need. You do the podcast that you yourself need. And I just like to say, here I am, like 18 months later, I had this, great podcast. We're up and running, and I'm showing that ex who's boss. I'm determined to be the Taylor Swift of podcasting. You mess with me, great. That's just content. And there's a man I was dating a few weeks ago. I was like, keep messing up, boo boo. Oh, this is great. Let me get the microphone ready. So it's just all content, and we love it. Get hurt, girl. Turn into content. And thank you. Let's stay in touch, y'all. This has been great. Appreciate you. Shout out to my cohort, Megan, everybody, Fabian, with all the data stuff that I understand 25% of it, but 25% of it that I knew before. And I will be knocking on your door to help explain it further. So thanks, everybody.
Yo, James, thank you so much. It was always every week a delight to have you in our sessions, and thank you for reframing. That's what I learned from you. The art of the reframe. Mess with you, you're gonna turn it into content. So heard, noted, check. Friends, do we have thoughts, feedback for James? I just thought it was fantastic. Will?
Yes, I do want to say going from 10 minutes to 3 is huge, and I'm very proud of you. That is tremendous. I know that you're working on shorter ones. Glad for you. You are completely right. I was already planning on raising my hand about it. You called it. You called it, but 10 to 3 is incredible. I loved this whole presentation. I love how much voice you carry through everything that you do. And also, I have somebody that I think might be a really good fit for you for a promo swap. So I'm going to hit you up in the DMs over on Slack, but I wanted to give some context there first.
Thank you. Yes, please. Send it my way. Yes, yes, yes.
Megan and then Faye.
Well, I just have to shout out, like, as everybody can see, we had just had one heck of an energetic cohort, and I think they all really fed off each other. And I think what James you showed just showed the power of community, the power of feeling vulnerable with each other and giving feedback. Because I think you, Paulette, Lana, what we'll see from Michelle, I think it is really reflected in these presentations so far. And along with Will's promo points, we will give you some guidelines on some uh, links for the different promo audio needs you you will need going forward as you pitch around for swaps and partnerships and whatnot. But amazing.
Thank you.
James, you are amazing, man. Hit me up anytime, especially with the metadata stuff. We're all just figuring it out as we go along. And the computers keep moving the finish line. So we're at the, mercy of the algorithms until synchronicity occurs. And then we're in the algorithm. And then can we get out there? And we just don't know. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Great job, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome, James. That was great. Also, as a person that I struggle with editing myself. So when you said 10 minutes and I was shook, I was also reflecting on my own issues. And then I'm good. I can tell you about yourself. So maybe we need to swap because maybe I could cut that 3-minute one into 3 1-minute ones for you. And I'm going to find something for you to give me feedback on. So we'll circle back.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, guys, we have 3 more, and we're appreciative of you guys rocking with us. I hope y'all are having a great time. Thank you all for being here still. We're gonna go into rocking with Brandy H, who is presenting for Laura G, aka Tragedy. Brr, 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 brr. Come on down, Brandy.
All right. Hey, y'all. How's it going? Okay. I'm wicked nervous, so I apologize. I'm going to try and not speed run this. Some quick background. My name is Brandy. I am Laura's co-founder of Cactus Cat Creations and the main producer on Yokai Detective Agency. I'm the one who runs all of our socials, and we are gearing up for our convention circuit starting next week. So we've been wicked busy, and I've been doing all of this in the background. So, all right, let's get started here. Share my screen. All right, so I apologize. This is a little short, but we're gonna get it going.
We're not seeing your screen though, just in case.
I want to do this. Oh, 1 sec. Screen, come on. Okay, I'll do it this way then.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Helps I actually hit the right buttons. Okay, so as you know, we are in the fiction space. Yokai Detective Agency is a fictional podcast based in a noir setting. So we are here for something different today. And getting started, we did start putting our press kit together. We are working on some brand new art made by an artist friend and one of our voice actors. He is a wonderful person, and he actually came out to PodFest with us last year. So you guys are the first to see this sneak preview. But as far as things go, we have a quick little update here. So we have our first season is completed with 12 episodes. And our season 2 has been pushed back to summer of 2025, but we are slated to have 12 episodes. We are in multiple sessions of production right now, as well as working out some new artwork, and also updating our website with all of our cast and crew information, our show notes, transcripts, content warnings, all of that good stuff. We even have our IMDb page live now, so that is a great update there. As far as stats, I was going through today. It says I have everything, but so we have 45 with the full episodes and our bonuses, including those 12 episodes in season 1. We are currently at 24,000 downloads via our RSS, who is our host, and our last 30 days did well. There has been an update. As you can see down here, Spotify is our #1 at almost 67%. So go Spotify listeners. But we do have listeners in, as we see here, 26 countries. That's 5 continents. And there has been a spike in Ireland and Indonesia. So it is fun to see where all of that comes from. Not pictured on this slide. If you don't know, our show is hosted with a radio station based in Atlanta, Georgia. And we did receive those Nielsen numbers for Q4 of last year. And we are at over 500,000 listeners, which I still cannot wrap my mind around. So with that brings us into, focusing on our monetization and our sponsorships and all of that good stuff, make us some money. As far as reviews, there are more here, but this is what's posted on our website itself that comes from different sources. As you can see, we have Apple, Podchaser. And so we are reaching out, working on our Discord, working on a Tumblr blog and Substack. So just really focusing into the fiction community, finding those people that enjoy what we do and just sharing what we can. We do have all of our listenings. We are, as always, everything, nothing is permanent. So we're always updating all of these things. As you can see, there's obviously some of these places don't exist anymore. RIP Deezer. Yeah, so there are updates going on all the time. We have links here together. And I also have a new little audiogram, which you guys will get to hear. And fun fact, we are actually going to be at the Atlanta Fringe Audio Festival coming this summer. And we actually got chosen for that about the same time we started this program. So that was a big surprise there. But I'm just going to play this quick little clip for you.
You might have to share your sound.
Okay. Come on, Zoom, play nice for me.
You may have to go out from sharing and then come back and sharing. Make sure you click that share sound thingy thing on the side.
Okay.
I think it might just be really quiet. I think I could hear a little. I could be wrong, but you might just need to up the volume on the player.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
It could be my own settings. Okay, if that doesn't want to work, I will go over to my one pager and we'll do that. All right. So I did just piece this together. I was staying very like on brand with the show, with our fonts and everything. It has a little rundown of who Laura and I are, quick snippets about the show itself, including content warnings and our age, demographic, all of our social links. And as you can see, we also have the shift in the branding with our art here as well. And yeah, so that's what I have. Sorry, that's like really quick. I'm just like getting nervous. I start to climb up. But I wanted to say thank you to everybody. This has been an incredible opportunity. You all have been wonderful, and I'm sad I did not get to be in the program with you all. But the people I have talked to have all been amazing, and I just wanted to show my appreciation. Laura wants to show her appreciation for everything that we've been taking the time to learn, everybody that has shared all of their stories. And it's been a great ride.
Thank you so much, Brandy. And if you're cool with it, if you want to drop the audio link in the chat, we can click it before we, before we move on to the next person, while we do feedback and stuff. And while you do that, I guess I'll start. Also, shout out to you and Laura for figuring out how to make it work. Like, tons of people applied, and we all know everyone has co-hosts and teams, and you can only put one name on the application. But we were like, leave the laptop open and invite your entire crew, invite your neighbors to take the course with you. But like, you know what I'm saying? So kudos to y'all for making it work. Laura had a really good idea, and I'm wondering if y'all like started to follow that about collaborations. She said y'all had a radio radio playing in like some of the scenes, and that they would play fictional and sometimes real ads that you might were gonna source from like other like podcasts and utilize them to like kind of play on your fictional radio station. Like, did y'all follow that, or is that something that y'all might follow?
Oh yeah, that's still in process,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, like I said, everything is still in process as it always is. That's life.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Any other feedback, y'all? The floor is open, and then we have two more. All right, y'all, let's keep it moving. Actually, I'm clicking this thing. I'm just gonna take my 45 seconds here. Y'all go ahead and click it too. Let's do it so we can all hear it.
Go for it.
And then we'll go to the next. Ooh, I don't know if the rest of y'all are at it at the end, but very cinematic, very beautiful. So we see why those people keep tuning in to the radio station in Atlanta. Congratulations on being part of the Fringe Fest. And yay, we're looking forward to it. So dope, very crispy, clear sound, cinematic. That's what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of fiction, and especially in the legacy of old school dramas for sure. Y'all have shown that. And a word on the artwork. I love the new shift. Very much more clear. Yes. All right. Child, Michelle. I lost the list again, y'all, because I got so excited. Michelle, come on down.
Hey, so I have the timer set, and I might drop some things from this, but kind of blaze through. So just heads up, I'm going to blaze through. The only thing is I need to share, but I've got just a second. Okay. There we go. And I think you can see it. Am I right? Cool. Hey, everybody. My name is Michelle Jackson, and no relation to Michael, even though technically I do have an Uncle Michael Jackson. My podcast that I submitted to the program was previously called Three Other Things. So it's been around for a while, so it's gone through different iterations. The last one was Michelle is Money Hungry. It is a personal finance focused podcast where I talk about money and pop culture and polarization and those types of things. It is not a money podcast, a personal finance podcast that talks about budgeting and things like that. So when I initially started this podcast years ago, I just felt like I was spitting in the wind, talking about the topics that I was. My goal as I went through the program was just to really, define what this season of the show would be. And this has been really helpful to me. I'm gonna be honest, I move slower than you guys do. So I need really like probably another month or so to like complete this process, partly also because the show is so old. I also want to re-engage with previous listeners and just kind of, I was amazed at all the incredible content that I had that I could just rework and share, and how I was really thoughtful about evergreen content. And it's wild to me how it's still very relevant. Now, this is funny. This is my podcast description. However, as I was thinking about it, it's actually more a transcript for the trailer. So I'm gonna minimize this, and then it's more for the trailer. So just so you know. But I also realized that I had an old description in the feeds. And so that was actually a huge problem because it was not even from Michelle is Money Hungry, it was from a previous like name. So that was weird. So yeah, and I was a little shocked and surprised by that. Some details about like the life of this project, some stats. The website has almost 1 million page views, which was like, oh my God. 124,500 downloads. So I've slowly but surely been getting people to listen. 85% of people who listen to the show have always been American, which is fine, which is why I renamed it to Your American Money. And I've won 4 different awards for this project, not ones that I submitted myself, but that the audience submitted me for. 3 specifically from the Plutus Awards, the Plutus Foundation. If you're in the personal finance space, that's like our Oscars. And I won back-to-back awards in 2020 and 2021 for the project. So that was something that will go into press kit. I was also for that project, or this project, number 45 out of 100 for business, for the top 100 in the business chart, which is really competitive. That's a really competitive area of content. So I was like, wow, I'd completely forgotten about it. So it was fun kind of collecting all the collateral around this project. I've been on PBS NewsHour with this, 9 News. I've done different collaborations as well. And just kind of forgetting that I did all that. So that's why I'm bringing it up. I've had more 5 stars than not, but I feel like I could get more accolades, if you will. So to just make sure to ask the audience to review the show, which has never been a thing that I've done. So I think I'll be incorporating that into future episodes. The number 1 episode was making money online as a sex worker. Again, I don't do budgeting. So having a conversation with Minnie, her name's Minnie, who is an Afro-Canadian sex worker, and talking about just why was she doing sex work? What was the money like? it was fascinating. And I'm excited to have more conversations like this in the future. By the way, one of the things that really was frustrating for me was I was always talking about policy, and I could never get people to understand why I felt like policy was so important to our American money. And I feel like I'm vindicated. Anywho, and I'm watching my time, sorry. I have a new asset that I'm starting to build out, which is a Substack on, And so the goal is to connect with a new audience via that project, because I feel like it's a good way to just kind of broaden the reach of the project. So that is something I'm working on right now. And that started this spring. One thing that was really weird and interesting was the Raphonic tool and seeing what podcasts intersected with mine. So Rachel Maddow, American Hysteria, Smartless, Al Franken, Fresh Air, NPR, Sounds Like a Cult, and Cancel Me Daddy. I was the only Black person out of all the podcasts, so I found that really interesting as well. But it was like completely like, it was wild. So I found that really interesting. Still thinking about how that came to be. In terms of monetization, I'm looking at affiliate income, brand partnerships, and sponsorships. I've done this before, specifically with affiliates, and I've worked with Experian, so I'm comfortable with reaching out and working on those kinds of things in the future. Sorry, I'm trying to blaze through. Collaborations and partnerships. Obviously, everyone in my cohort, very excited to talk about their projects, support what they're working on, and just all the things. And the wonderful Tariq Williams as well. We have spoken, and we're going to do a feed drop. But again, I move slowly, so I need a little more time to be able to do that. And we're going to listen to a few minutes of the new trailer. It is a 5-minute trailer that I'm going to break up also into 3 1-minute trailers. So just it's the rough draft. It's not the final. Okay. I want to make that very clear. And I'm only in a
webcam that you sign up, you wait a week or two, they approve your account, then you click broadcast, then chatters and members are coming into your room. Some have paid accounts, some don't. And depending on the webcam site, it's either token-based tips or is private chat by the minute going on. And my first webcam check was $300, which is like, again, $500 Canadian. And then the check after that was $1,500. So yeah, I made like almost $3,000, $2,000 sitting at a camera, and a place that became my home because my home wasn't safe anymore, where I didn't have to go anywhere. I just had to click broadcast on a camera. And then I got into dancing. I got into adult videos. That was more money. That was, oh my gosh. Like, I remember I have pictures on my Facebook where I laid out the word yes with all my money.
Another thing we can do to make it as objective as possible is to just give a blanket forgiveness, not put all of these qualifiers attached to it, because then it creates that us versus them mindset. And, you know, there is historic precedent for this. I studied history in college, so I'm a bit of a nerd. You know, if you go way, way back to, you know, biblical times, there's precedent for what were called debt jubilees, where after so many years, debt was forgiven. In ancient Babylonia, Hammurabi, which is one of the most, I think, famous and well-known leaders that came out of that empire, he wiped away debt to win political favor from his constituents. That's an option. But more recently, in Iceland, following the financial collapse of 2008, the government there, I forget the exact percentage, but they eliminated a substantial amount of people's mortgages. They just wiped them clean. So there is precedent. It can be done. It's just a matter of willingness.
I'm going to attempt to wrap a really nice bow around this. But earlier, there was a quote that you provided that said that when we're out of food, when we're hungry, that we'll eat the rich. And I see this as a restaurant. If I'm in a restaurant and I'm not that hungry and I see the table next to me get food, I don't really care. I'm fine. I'm not that hungry. I'm sufficiently fed. But when I'm starving and I've been in the restaurant for a few hours and you just walked in and they bring all the food to your table and not mine, that's when I'm upset. That's when I'm angry. That's when I'm really smelling the food and figuring out like, hey, like something's not right here. And I think in terms of how we feel about billionaires, we're in the situation where a lot of us are starving. A lot of us don't have the basic resources, yet we see people do all these extravagant things at what feels like my expense. And in some cases, it literally is. You work at Amazon and you can't use a restroom and you're not being paid enough and you can't pay your rent, but the guy you work for is in space and he has $193 billion, you're gonna feel a certain type of way,
that's
right?
that's some real talk there, Kevin.
It's like you got the money. Like there's literally, I did the math. There's 800,000, close to 800,000 people that work at Amazon. He can pay $100,000 for every one and still have $80 billion left. But that's a lot. I shouldn't have to suffer that way. But the reason I would feel that way is because I don't have my basic needs met. And I think that's just a testament to how we should function as a society, that there should be a living wage. We should all be able to have food and clothes and our basic needs met, and everybody would be fine. If you want to strive more and become a millionaire and all that kind of stuff, you can do that. But you have to have those basic needs met. And when they don't, that's when you're going to start to feel this type of pressure, when you're going to see these type of complaints, and when you start to see society fracture in the way that it is. So I think the entire conversation is about, why do you feel this way? I feel this way because X, Y, and Z. These basic needs aren't being met. I can't get a house. People are overbidding. That's the issue. And we have to come back to those issues and figure out, how do we solve them? Is it the elimination of billionaires? I don't think that's necessarily the answer. Is it more taxation? Is it better funding? It's a combination of those things. The answer to that is, as a society, every single person should be able to have their absolute most basic needs met. And until that is solved, then we're going to continue to have these types of conversations and this type of angst against the very wealthy among us.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up. I have a small little project. Well, it's kind of gotten big. A project called Creators Getting Paid. That's where I highlight how creators are doing this type of creative work, but I focus on having conversation with Black and Brown creators, as well as allies. And part of why I did that was there were some conversations that Your American Money, it wasn't like the right place for that. And so a lot of the guests who end up on Your American Money are also in Creators Getting Paid. So I want to say a huge thank you to everyone. This was a beautiful experience. It wasn't always easy for me. I'm a slower paced person. But I'm really excited to continue to be like in community with everybody. You come to Denver, hang out with me. I'm very serious. I don't want this to be it. So thank you guys, and that's it. That is the presentation. And like I said, that was the rough draft. That is not the final. So
no, it's beautiful. I was pulling out the gems right there when homegirl was talking about how much she makes in Canada for the cam work and stuff. I was like, my brain was like, start right there where she says, I made 1,500 Canadian, like I was seeing where you were going. I was seeing where you were going. Thank you thank you for that. Thank you for being a processing at your own pace. We're here. We're in the Slack. We're not going nowhere. And your artwork, I love it. You got shirts? Like, what's happening?
No shirt.
I want a wardrobe of that shit. That's so dope. Like a tote bag,
I hadn't thought about that, but I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Oh, my alarm went off. Sorry. Like schedule.
Back, the floor is open, and then we have Anita. Anita's gonna take us home. I see Faye, you just came off.
I did. I had to. Michelle is like, first of all, you're amazing. I feel like you're also one of the OG, like big homie mentors in the cohort, because you always are like the first to like pop in and shout out somebody and say, give tips and good love. So shout out to you for that. I enjoyed that clip that you shared. I know it's 6 minutes long, and I know that you're still working on it.
Well, yeah.
I know you're still working on it, but if I could just offer a little tactic, and this is something I learned from the homie Allison Van Meer over at Wondery, because they just had a crazy squad. If you could get some super trailer love with that, and I know we didn't talk about this as far as what's a super trailer or how do you do that kind of cross promo swap, but it's pretty much a mid-roll meets a post-roll, and you kind of combine them together. So if you get some kind of partnership, just because that's such a powerful clip that you had, if you could find somebody that wants to do that kind of partnership with you, it would be a lot to offer in return. So it would have to be a strong, type of relationship, but it's pretty much they would cue you up in the mid-roll, say, this is Michelle Jackson, pop, 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 pop. And if you want to hear more, stay to the end of the episode. And then they play that full thing at the end. But it's like one of those secret gems, y'all, that let that stay in here and only with the Amplify homies. But it's like a nice little something that you can use when you have that extra content that it's like you can cut it. So definitely do what you're going to do for separate things, but as a little back end type partnership that you could match with the right person. It's a nice little thing to use, because I was enjoying the clip. I was like, oh, I need to get my notepad out. Okay. But wonderful job as usual. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Fabian. I didn't know that existed. So I'm super excited because I need more words. So I'm like one of those.
Megan.
I see. Well, before Lana dips, happy belated birthday. We had some extensive 420 conversations about birthdays. Speaking of Michelle in Denver. Michelle, yeah, I know, Michelle, you've kind of, at the beginning of this, you were just like, this is too much. Like, what am I supposed to be focusing on? But I think you've got it. I think you've been around the block. And like I said before, I think the four of you have just like fed off of each other and been in community. And I think your edits and any forthcoming revisions are going to be strong. And we are at your disposal. I'm excited for the direction of your podcast and all of that is to come. And Faye is right. The super trailer, it is a thing. That is what we can teach you from our work with the Wondery people.
Paulette, come on down.
I just have to give Michelle her flowers. I've been in Michelle's orbit for 3 years now, Michelle. I met her at Podcast Movement. I made her tell me how to do this thing. We were matched as a mentor-mentee through TPA later that year. And I am so proud of you. Like watching you make this happen. Like I have tears in my eyes. My voice is shaking because I am so proud of you. And I'm so proud to be in this group with you and be along this journey. And she's become a really good friend and more than a mentor. And just like, I love you. I love your project. And I'm so happy and proud and cannot wait to see where this goes for you and all of us. And that's it.
Thank you, Paulette. Cassandra's going to wrap us up, and then we're going to go to Anita's last presentation of the day.
I love the clip. I know that the length may not be ideal, but I just liked how it showed like the breadth of your work, like the different conversations you have. I loved it. And then I just wanted to give you your flowers too, because I've been a follower of your newsletter for like maybe over a year now. So when it comes to my inbox, I may delete most things, but not yours. So yours I read every time. So just want to give you your flowers and acknowledge all the great work that you're doing. I know it's not easy to do all the things that you do, but you do it like beautifully. From an outsider looking in, just wanted to just let you know that you're doing an amazing job. That's all.
Oh, y'all, this is too much. But before it gets too much, Anita, bring us home, baby. Let's go. I'm so excited for this one.
All right. Let's see here. Hopefully that will do it. Okay. Now if I can get it together. So I started Bayou's Wrath because I learned about the Devil's Punch Bowl, and I wanted to reintroduce communities to Black history, culture, tradition, the whole 9 yards. And because the story haunted me, and I wanted to do it from an entertaining place. And so hence the combination, the merge of history and the supernatural genres. And let me just say that every session that we've been in, I have walked away with something to implement, because I've mentioned before that I am new to podcasting, to the whole podcasting world, to the audio world. So I kind of sat back and I listened and just absorbed the information and learned. And the podcast community from the onset was so helpful, because my artwork was done by Faith McQuinn. She did it for me and free of charge. I was floored. So in going, I thought that before we started this, I thought that, I wrote it, I produced it, I recorded, we put it up on the platforms, the hard work was done. That was the easy part. That was the easy part. That said, we started with, and you can't, I can't see, SEO, right? So I went back and based off of the feedback that I got from the mentors, redid the show description, making sure that, I told who the story was about, where it was. I put those buzzwords in there, the SEO optimized words, Devil's Punch Bowl, the supernatural, and I'm going kind of fast, the haunting, the whole nine, and still, what it was about. I also included the call to action and I put a link in there so to make it easier for people to find. Ooh, I'm talking fast. The other thing I did was I included the SEO in the titles. I changed the titles and included the SEO in the titles. When we had the session with Stacy and she was talking about doing different artwork for the episodes, I changed the artwork in the episodes, and what I decided to do was link the artwork to what was happening in the story. So when we first meet the sisters, they are doing what? They're anomalies already because these are Black women who own a appraisal shop, but we're introduced to them while they're sword fighting. And so I put that in there, and I talk about Alexander Dumas, and I wanted to kind of incorporate that in the artwork. Here we see Quincy, who is called from the great beyond. This is the gatekeeper who, kind of says who gets to go and who stays behind. And of course, the mysterious coin that links everything together. And as much as I did, and I said, okay, the hard work is done, I put it out there, it never dawned on me, how about you put it on your website? And so when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that is a duh moment for me. Put it on the website, which is what I did. And so now if people don't have the capability, they may not stream. They can go to the website and they can listen to all the episodes as well. I'm going to move to navigating the ecosystem. I learned about that, and it makes sense. With every industry, there's an ecosystem, and you need to learn the ecosystem. And so through the resources that you all provided, that Will gave, I used to look at the newsletters and reached out to them. I reached out to those podcasters, and I reached out to organizations as well. With Will's help, I formulated a press release and used it to reach out to those entities. And I wound up getting some opportunities where I was mentioned on a new curated list for Black women's voices who are telling stories in the podcast space. I got a mention in Audio Fiction's newsletter. And I am currently working with the Natchez Museum of African American History and Culture, and they want to incorporate the podcast into their program. Now, they also had mentioned working with the school board. However, under the current administration, this may get a little tricky. So right now we're focusing on putting it into Natchez's History Museum, and we're doing our workaround with that. Metadata, that was the next thing. I took a little different approach because I learned who my audience was. I kind of knew already who my audience was, but this narrowed it down a little bit more. I was surprised at the age range with it, but what I did was I coupled that with the feed swaps. And so I went to look after, people, Black women who were creating their own shows in the fiction space, and using Black talent as well as Black audio talent to produce their shows. And so currently, I have a feed swap going on with Alpha 8, and I have an upcoming feed swap coming up with Harlem Queen. And I've seen an uptick using all of this information. I've gone from 19% consumption when we started this to 63% consumption, which I think is phenomenal. And we're still young, we're still a young podcast. It's my first one. What I found out in doing the feed swap was, we've been talking about it for so long about being intentional with everything that it is that you do. And I learned that even the ask with the feed swap, when you're curating that, the talking points, what it is that you want to be said, be intentional about it. And so, I put down for fans of Alpha 8 and Harlem Queen, created and produced by Black women, supports a majority Black cast and a Black female sound design team. The show uses horror and history to explore what generational justice looks like and who pays the price for the silence. Again, award-winning sound design team. Even with the social prompts, I was very intentional. I wanted them to use their own voice, but I wanted to kind of lead them into how I wanted it to be presented. And I definitely required a call to action that they, put in at the end or the beginning, wherever they saw fit.
If I had to pick a scene.
Oh, sorry. Oops, go back. So we talked about expansion as well. I just lost it. We talked about expansion.
If I had to pick a scene, I think it would be when she's saying goodbye to her aunt, right? Because we understand, I think, that she has a certain relationship with her aunt, and though they have a little bit of, what's the word? She gets a little crass with her at one point, like, I don't believe in those kinds of things. But then when it's time to say goodbye, you can really see the care come through. And so that's what made me sort of fall in love with Leah, because, she's going to do her own thing. She might leave you behind, but she does care about you. Family is in her heart. So that's what I really appreciated about, Leah's personality. I am a fantasy lover of all fantasies, so I want to see some sword fights and, battling some ghosts, that kind of thing from her. And, love interest is always good. So I feel like Leah probably needs it. So I hope listeners can take away, don't be afraid to go for the adventure. Go out and do what you got to do to make it happen,
And so I wanted to do, that was a bonus episode that I had never thought about doing prior to having the conversations that we had and the sessions that we had. And so then I went back, and my whole purpose in doing this was to expose people to history, to the legacy, to tradition and culture. And so I wanted to hear what they got out of it. And I figured the best place to start was with the cast itself. And so that became how I expanded on the podcast. And then when we had the session with, I think it was Lloyd and a couple of others, and they started talking about, which some of it I had already done, but adding income streams from it. And so we started talking about expanding the merch. And so these are some of the things that, we've come up with. And then I just wanted to say thank you, because like I said, every session I walked away being able to implement something, and I saw an uptick in the listenership that we have. Phew!
Woo! Y'all give it up for Anita. Oh my God, brought us all the way home, down to the bayou and back. Thank you so much. Anita, did you? Wow. Okay, wait. I'm like, let me collect myself.
Let me stop sharing. Okay.
Early on, like I was like, you know, I be watching all of y'all. So I'm like, oh, Anita not talking a lot. We need to check on Anita. I said, mentors, who's got Anita in their thing? And is she okay? And do we need to gang? And they were like, nah, we cool. We got Anita. Don't worry about Anita. And look, this is why we don't worry about Anita.
No, I mean, I didn't talk a lot because I needed, there are times when we just need to shut up and listen. And this was that time, Again, I had no idea what I was sticking my foot into. I went into this audio space, people were helpful, but I didn't know. So I sat back and I listened and I learned.
Thank you so much. The floor is open. Um, Feel free to share, folks. And I do want to share. You said something about the school, and yeah, we all know what's happening there with all the things. Another avenue for folks in anywhere, I think. So I have a piece. I have a fiction, a Black historical fiction piece, like from 5 years ago, and right now, like I'm on like a database that the libraries, the New York City public libraries, someone has that database, and then when they need content, so the libraries will choose. So if you just find that person of your community, and I'm talking to everybody here, but this tends to work a lot, libraries and fiction, and find that person, get on that list. Sometimes you're playing it, it's a library. Who knows who's coming or who's not? Sometimes you're playing it to 2 people, sometimes you're playing it to 20 people, but it's a place that you can practice this thing, and then also they'll pay you. Like,
oh, that's always good.
Just to present your thing.
Right.
And if you ask them if this is open to the public, you can promote it and tell people to come see you at the library, thereby getting a free location to play your thing. I just be listen. Okay, guys,
Okay. I'm taking notes still on the last day.
On the last day. Any last thoughts? Faye, come on down, and then Michelle.
I just wanted to say, wonderful job. I love a good creative brief. I feel like we kind of got away from creative briefs in the 2025s, but it's a great way to guide whoever you're partnering with. And just kudos to you on the details and being very intentional about who you're partnering with, because that truly makes the difference with downloads. And shout out to you for looking at the numbers, and congrats on the uptick on Apple as well as the retention, because again, that's just a huge metric to share. So boom. And that was the perfect way to close out the day too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
If you ever teach how to do an audio drama, I would love to be in your class. There are a lot of you guys up in here with like skill sets that I need to like learn from. I feel if you ever have a class, because one of the things I want to add to my podcast is like an audio drama episode for certain topics, and learning from someone who's already done that would be so fun. So just if you ever have that, let me know. I would love it. And
do it on TikTok.
Oh, I'm not on TikTok.
Okay. We have audio dramas. There's one happening tonight at 8:00.
No, but do you teach how to do it?
Yes, I teach. I taught it on there as well.
You know what? It's been 3 years. I might do that for you. I might.
I know it's so taboo.
Drop the link to us in Slack, Anita, so we could come follow you and see where you're teaching and also where you're speaking. And also like everybody get a lurker account. You don't have to be on it. You just, you know what I'm saying? We all know what time it is. Let's let the algorithm for us. I don't know, child. All right, y'all. I think it's our time, and y'all have been extra generous with it. Thank you so much, team, like truly team. I want to also highlight Casper for being a quiet force, cooperative force. Like I couldn't be doing what I do, which is this, without Casper. You know what I'm saying? And yo, you my dog. Thank you. 2 years in the game with this. Hopefully we could do some more.
Well, and also everyone, let's give TK some love because TK really drove this program, especially like when we're doing the webinars, having the conversations moving, making sure everyone's questions got answered, and really, you know, creating the space for everyone to be comfortable and to feel supported. So definitely want to say thanks, TK. And also on the back end, just like creating this program with you has been so amazing. And yeah, just getting emotional about what we created and just how impactful it's been for everyone too. So, and also the mentors, thanks for all your support and guiding our fellows. And thanks for everyone for sticking around for an extra 45 minutes.
And I didn't want to go too crazy calling out all our guests that came today, but I would like to just let y'all know because y'all were cooking, y'all were on fire, and sometimes you don't need to know who's in the room while you're cooking, okay? But who consumed it? We had Air Board members, and those board members, they fancy. Everybody's fancy. I saw somebody from I don't know where people work, but I know the names. And I saw somebody in here from a name brand place. We love that. We love a name brand every now and then. So I didn't want to go too nuts shouting people out because I wanted y'all to keep cooking that excellent food. Y'all got that sauce today. So just and thank you. And I saw some folks that came from the regular sessions that came to see you. So when we had those public sessions, they came to be part of this cohort with you. So I see some of them in here as well. So thank you guests all for coming and for consuming this delicious meal that all of our presenters you know, prepared for y'all today. Thank you. Thank you. Kai said, I'm happy you waited till the end to say this. Yeah, facts. Oh, one last thing. There's also a reason we asked y'all to present, like to really, really present, is because a lot of these conferences and a lot of these, you know, events, there's always some sort of thing where there's like a pitch, like come pitch live in front of 100 people. Well, you did it. You did it, guys. So now when you see that pitch opportunity, that little contest, that whatever, please apply. Please apply. I want to see more of y'all in the room. Okay. That's all I got. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Y'all make sure y'all get to Resonate, Afros and Audios, the Black Podcasters Association, all the things, but y'all make sure y'all get to those events. Pitch, 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 please. All right, y'all. Thank you.
I'll miss all of y'all.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. I'm sorry, I was looking at